Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Nakwam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Wamalak Yabushai, double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting. It's like you're waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahushai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters that are out there zealous, diligent, and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men, shalom to the children, shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth, and Shabbat shalom to everybody tuning in live through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son Yahweh Shai on another mighty Sabbath day and the end of the world and the end of the so-called white man's kingdom and the beginning of the world to come, which is going to be set up by Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua in true righteousness and holiness and purity and godliness. So shalom to everybody tuning in live, Remoans, Hoshaya, Don Israel to meet, Aka Rectitude, Yakar Salah, Shalom King, Brother Azariah, Shalom, HBK Lit, Shalom, Elianya, Shalom, Yeshayahu, Benjamin Youngwolf, Elder Daria Wash, and again, everybody else that's tuning in and that will tune in. End times, survival mode. We see what's happening in the world. The spirit is on us through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua to go into these prophecies, to go into these current events, to showcase the handiwork of the Most High God, the creator of heaven and earth, how the Heavenly Father sending angels out and stirring up the spirits of these nations for these lockdowns, price increases, financial collapse, global economy collapses, which is going to lead to complete chaos and pandemonium worldwide. We're going to touch on how the so-called white man and he had his methods, his methodology, for lack of better terms, on creating and manufacturing chaos and confusion in the earth, go into these prophecies and show you that all things that you see that you see going on around you in terms of financial collapses around the world is biblical prophecy, how it's going to impact the servants of Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach, Wamalak Yabushah. So there's a lot going on in the earth, and we're going to kick it off with 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and 1. End times, survival mode, right? I mean, these are beautiful times, man. These are beautiful times. I'm excited, or I hope you brothers are excited. We're a few days out till Passover. It's only the month of March. You know, and Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua is kicking off this so-called year with utter destruction and utter judgment. I'm getting word now, which I'm still verifying. They're saying that the Marines, some of these United States Marines were captured on an Iranian island, right, as a failed landing attempt. They're saying that massive United States soldiers are dead. So, you know, there's a lot going on, man, right? We're still verifying a lot of these things, but there's a lot going on, man, right? They're attacking these U.S. bases, and, you know, there's a lot going on, man. So you blink twice and you miss a month worth of prophecy unfolding, right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 5. We're going to kick it off with this, right? I got a lot of links. You can see, pull it up. I mean, all hell is breaking loose, man. All hell is breaking loose. We're going to kick it off with one of my favorite chapters of prophecy, 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter, right? This 2nd Ezra is 5 and 1. Nevertheless, as concerning the tokens, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. So there are signs that the Most High gave Ezra concerning the end of the world. When you read the book of 2nd Ezra, you read about these signs and tokens in the 5th chapter, the 6th chapter. You read about them in the 9th chapter. You read about them in the 11th chapter, the 12th chapter, the 13th chapter, the 14th chapter, 15 and 16. Right? So the Most High is letting you know that the days draw nigh, which are the days shortly approaching. Right? Where massive death is going to take place due to war and due to famine. That's what this part means, where it reads, the days shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number. Like we always break down, that means massive death, right? Massive death. Let's go to Matthew, right? 24, right? And we're going to stay in second Esdras. A lot of these chapters and precepts, we went over before, but we're going to keep speaking on these things to drive the point home through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So the word taken, it means killed, put to death. And the two massive ways that people are going to die in the end of the world is by famine and by war. Those are going to see right now, people are dying because of cancer or a heart disease. The leading cause of death are those things, right? And other diseases that people have and other things that are health related or that are a direct result of people living a unhealthy lifestyle. But the days are coming where the top two reasons of death are going to be affecting people by famine and by war. That's going to usurp cancer, is going to usurp heart disease, stroke, and all these common causes of death. Now, here's the word taken. It means death in the Bible, right? Getting put to death. This Matthew 24 and verse number 39. And knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So when the flood came, people were taken in a great number, right? There's no telling of how many souls died. There's no number that the Most High gave us except the 8 souls that survived. But the Most High uses this terminology of being taken away as a euphemism for massive death. So when Yahushua returns, many people are also going to be taken away. And prior to Yahushua's return, second Esdras is saying many people are going to be taken in a great number, right? When these bombs begin to drop in the earth, when nuclear warheads begin to be launched from the 4 corners of the earth, when North Korea, China, Russia, these nations really start pressing that button, it's going to be massive death on the earth. Right? Matthew 24 and 40. Then shall 2 be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. 2 women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left. So the odds of surviving is like a 50% chance. Either you make it or you don't. People are going to die in ways that the world has never experienced. And if you're watching, which again, we harp on constantly through the spirit of power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, you're beginning to see society unravel, right? It's falling apart at the seams. And societies now, you're watching people in India, one guy, he's worshiping a thing of damn gas. They're trampling each other. They're saying people in India right now are stampeding each other, and there's casualties over gas. This thing is just getting started. Australia, they have over 150 gas stations. No more gas, no diesel. They're saying Australia is on the brink of a complete societal collapse like the world has never seen before. And it's not as if there's not enough resources, because there is enough resources. But these devils, they manufacture scarcity on the earth to lead people to panic buy, to riot, to kill, while they hide in the safety of their bunkers. And that's what these devils are doing. But let's go back to 2 Esdras 5 and 1 again. It reads, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. They're even saying right now in Canada, just to touch on the part where it says the land shall be barren of faith, they're saying in Canada, they're passing a bill where they say quoting the scriptures is going to be considered hate speech. Real life, man. This is the real deal. So when the Bible says the land shall be barren of faith, we're seeing the laws and the legislation that's being put into place to eliminate the word of God from having free course and from coming out and reaching, the various members of the flock and the sheep. This is an actual bill that they passed. So if you're in the book of Genesis, you going through Deuteronomy, you breaking the curses down, and maybe you want to touch on salvation, the end of the world, destruction. Out there in Canada, it's a no-go. It is a no-go, right? So the land shall be barren of faith, and it's not just Canada. We see all of the anti-Semitism laws that are being passed in America. We see Palantir, and which has become the Pentagon's number one source of information on individuals and American citizens. We're seeing Australia crack down. We're seeing. It's like I'm getting excited, right? Damn, they're tripping over my words because there's so much going on in these last days, man. There's so much to talk about, but we're beginning to see these bills and laws being passed, which is fulfilling prophecy. Okay, which is fulfilling prophecy. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to just touch on this part right here. The majority of Canada MPs have voted to pass a liberal bill that will allow the criminalization of religious expression and belief when quoting parts of the Bible, including homosexuality and gender. So your precepts like Leviticus 18-22, Leviticus 20-13, Romans chapter 1-25 on down, Isaiah 1-9, Isaiah 3-9, 2 Peter, the 2nd chapter, 6 on down. All these precepts that the Most High condemns homosexuality and lewd fornication, and even precepts that go into establishing the roles of society with gender. 1 Corinthians chapter 11-3, Genesis 3-16, 1 Peter 3-1 on down. All these precepts that establishes the role of genders and men and women in rank, these things will get you a criminal record, arrested. And another thing about watching is understanding how the Western world operates. Australia and Canada are always the number one testing grounds for laws and legislation of the New World Order, right? They always start in Australia, then it goes to Canada, then it goes to Western Europe, and then it comes to America. So it's not a matter of if these things are going to happen in America, it's a matter of when, right? Early Wednesday evening, MPs from the Liberal Party of the Bloc Québécois, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and a 186-137 vote passed Bill C9, known as the Combating Hate Act. Conservatives, NDP, and Green Party MPs voted against the bill in a rare form of unity among usually opposing parties, right? So they want to stop the hate speech from going on, right? And that's why 2nd Ezra 5 says the way of truth shall be hidden and the land shall be barren of faith, right? And you're beginning to see people leave churches. They don't believe in God anymore. Society and their morals are completely out of the window. Decadence is at an all-time high. There's moral decay. There's a lack of ethics. The society is crumbling. All right. The 2nd Ezra 5-2. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. Right? You're going to see more crime. You're going to see more robbery. You're going to see more murder. You're going to hear more rape. You're going to see more wars on the earth. You're going to see more violence. This is the reality of judgment from on high, right? And we're not going to sugarcoat the evil that the Most High is going to do on the earth. If you think things are bad now, we haven't seen anything yet. I mean, we're beginning to see, and as this war continues, you're going to see more and more evil. And people are going to be put into situations and conditions that they never thought that they would be in. And they're going to respond in a manner of just to survive. You know, people are going to panic. People are going to be desperate. People are going to be on edge, and they're going to get it how they can. And if you're not on the right side of the Most High, you're going to get caught up in that thing. You know, this second Ezra 5:3. And the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly. And the land has root. Right? You still see commerce, trade. People still go to work. People still call Ubers. You know, they go out to eat. There are still weddings, and the land still has roots. There are public parks, you know, state parks. People still go on vacation. So when the Most High speaks about the land having root, he speaks about commerce and trade and buying and weddings and festivities and mirth and the day-to-day life. It's all going to be wasted suddenly by means of riots in the city, by means of complete anarchy. It's going to be wasted by pandemonium, wasted by war, and wasted by famine. Verse 4. But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in a day. And the third trumpet is what you read about in the book of Revelation, the 8th chapter, when the seventh seal is open and nuclear warheads begin to fall upon the earth prior to Yahweh's return. So if the Lord allows us to live as World War III reaches its climax, we're going to begin to understand that we have hope and that the Most High is shortly going to return with his son Yahweh. All right, let me get a quick precept on this third trumpet. Right? If the Most High grant thee to live, which means you're going to have mercy from the Most High to survive these times. Right? This is Revelation chapter 8 and verse number 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. Now, this is the third trumpet, and a great star falling from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, are the nuclear missiles, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, and they're going to fall on different parts of the world. It's called a great star from heaven because, again, like we always say, John the Revelator was describing futuristic technology with an ancient mind. So when he saw this missile coming into the atmosphere, he saw it and described it as if it was a great star. Right? This verse 11. And the name of the star is called wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. So this missile is going to bring bitterness and pain and confusion to people once it hits this earth. That's why it's called wormwood, right? Due to the bitterness. Wormwood is a bitter herb. All right. It's one of the most, if not the most bitter herb that you read about in the Bible. So the Most High is saying that the effect of the nuclear fallout and the nuclear disasters is similar to wormwood, right? And many men are going to die due to the pain, nuclear fallout, fire, and the blast radius of these missiles. The elect are still going to be alive during this time. That's what the Most High says. But if the Most High grant thee to live, if you're allowed to live during the time when the nuclear missiles are beginning to fall on different parts of the earth prior to America, then you're going to have a sure chance of getting out of here. Right? The second Ezra 5 and 5. And blood shall drop out of wood, and the stone shall give his voice, and the people shall be troubled. And blood dropping out of wood is not literal. It's not a literal tree that's literally dropping blood out, and it's some great anomaly for the sons of man. The blood dropping out of wood goes into the death of man, right? Wood are trees, and trees are likened, or men are likened to trees, right? So in the midst of destruction, you're going to have massive death, massive bloodshed, right? So the Most High is speaking about the effects of war and the effects of famine that are going to be taking place on the earth. But he's using nature in a parabolic way. All right. Verse number 7. And even he shall rule whom they look not for, that dwell upon earth, and the fowl shall take away their flight together. So there's going to be rulers and people set up by the Most High that are going to bring more confusion and evil on the earth. That's why this reads, and the fowl shall take away their flight together. There was just a omen where you had all these crows. I'm not sure if brother saw it. You had all these crows that were over the land of or the city of Tel Aviv in Israel, which is a sign of death and a sign of destruction. Let me see if I can find that. Crows over Tel Aviv, right? And crows are a sign of massive death again. A murder of, so a flock of crows is, I believe it's called a murder. That's what they're saying that. A murder of crows over Tel Aviv, and Tel Aviv is the homosexual capital of the world. Pink City, in the land of Israel. Triggers chatter of bad omen and biblical prophecies on social media. Where the Bible says the birds of the, what do we read in 2 Ezra 5? That the fowl shall take away their flight together. So you're going to see things like this take place, man. Right? The fowls taking away their flight, leaving wherever the hell they're from, and just being signs of death and destruction and moving according to the will of the Most High. Harbinger of doom. Viral video shows thousands of crows swarming Tel Aviv. You know, the first precept I thought about was Revelation, the 19th chapter, right? Where the Lord speaks about the fowls consuming the dead bodies, man. This ain't nothing you want to see. If you peradventure walk outside and around your house and around your car as you drive is nothing but crows, you might want to throw up a fast and many prayers twice told to Yahweh Ba'ashmi Yahushua. And crows have a spirit. When you look up a crow, I believe they say crows, part of their behavior is they remember evil. They remember a lot of evil and they hold on to grudges and they're very unforgiving. Right? Let me type that in. Do crows hold grudges? Right? Yes, crows notoriously hold grudges against specific humans for years, sometimes up to 17 years. So that's part of their spirit. Them crows that are hovering over Tel Aviv, they're holding on to a grudge. They remember the evil that the so-called Jew has done on earth. See, man in their ignorance, they don't know, but these beasts know, huh? You don't think these lions and polar bears and these animals in these zoos know who's affecting the earth? You don't think these deer know who's cutting down all of the trees and they don't have any place to dwell? You don't think all of the fishes who commit massive suicide and beach themselves on the shores, you don't think they know who's polluting the earth? They know. I'll tell you that in Job, the 12th chapter. You know, that these beasts, they'll teach thee. So they're literally holding on to a grudge. It says specific humans. So there's no coincidence with the Most High. If there's thousands of crows flying over Tel Aviv and crows hold on to specific grudges on specific people, they got something against the so-called Jew. The Most High do, nature does, and everything's against this so-called white man. And I don't know if brothers have seen it, but these so-called Jews are fleeing Israel. They're going to Kenya. They're going to Uganda. They're migrating, or they're fleeing. Let me use that word. They're fleeing to Argentina. Other parts of North Africa. They're trying to buy islands in Greece. They getting the hell out of there. Because there's a lot happening in the land of Israel that's not being reported in mainstream media. There are hundreds of people that are dying every day in this war. There's a lot of Americans that's dying. That Fox News, CBS, that they're not going to put out there because they're owned by the so-called Jew. you know? So even somebody that's not in the truth can have a little level of discernment to know that that's not normal. That's not right. Right? That's a strange omen right there. Let me read a little bit more on this. Yes, crows notoriously hold grudges against specific humans for years, sometimes up to 17 years. I'm led to believe they've been holding on to this forever. Right? Now check this out as we read on. They recognize individual human faces. Now remember, not too long ago, a crow tore the flag of Israel. Let me get that again. Let me get that. Crow tears flag. Right? This happened in 2-3 years ago. A crow landed on an Israeli flag and it tore it down. That's Second Ezra, the 5th chapter. How the Most High causing confusion and omens with the fowls of the air. He tore down a flag. So it's not a coincidence. And I'm led to believe that this same crow is involved in leading this massive crow attack 3 years later, because they didn't forget. So let me go back to this, because there's a part I want to touch on. I want to move on. We got a lot we got to get into. It's going to be a long live. Get you if you got your coffee that you made already, or you got your energy drink, or you got you stretched, you took a nap. We're going to be up all night, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemiyah. I know we're going to be up all night. I'm going to exceed the time. I'm not even going to look at the time, because we got a lot we got to touch on, man. We got a lot we got to get into tonight. It reads, they recognize individual human faces, vocalize to scold's perceived threats, and can teach other crows to dislike a person, passing this animosity down. They pass down animosity to offspring and younger flock members. So they hold on to grudges and they pass it down. So you have massive crows, which is massive death. That's a sign of death and destruction. Okay, that's what 2 Ezra 5 is going into. And the fowl shall take away their flight together, leaving their natural habitat and bringing evil on the earth. Right, and that reminded me of Revelation, the 19th chapter. And it's also in Ezekiel, the 39th chapter. Right, this is Revelation, chapter 19, and verse number 17. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. So vultures, buzzards, crows, ravens, all these predator birds or detrivore scavengers, the Most High has preordained a feast for these creatures. Everybody eat with the Most High, right? That ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. So all them crows, they gonna eat. Them ravens, they gonna eat, man. So that's another sign of the end of the world, right? Let's read on to 2 Ezra 5. 2 Ezra 5 and 7. And the sodomitish sea shall cast out fish and make a noise in the night, which many have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. So this, when you read the rest of this chapter, it just goes into different examples of chaos and confusion. Right? It's not an actual sea that's a sodomite, right? Or this sea's homosexual. Okay, well, what sea is that talking about? Is it homosexual? No, it's not talking about homosexual seas. Homosexual seas. The sodomitish sea, which doesn't really bring out fish in the ancient world, really goes into the Dead Sea. All right. When you look this up and let's see if I can get that in another translation. They may actually go into that. All right. Let's see GNT. Second Ezra 5 and 7. Fish will be washed up on the shores of the Dead Sea, because the Dead Sea is in the exact area of where ancient Sodom, Gomorrah, Atma, Zoar, Seboam, all those 5 major cities that were full of homosexuals. The sea that's the closest to them is the Dead Sea when you look it up on the map. So when the Most High is speaking about the Sodomitish sea casting out fish, he's speaking about events that are going to take place on the earth that are not natural. Okay? Which goes to confusion being brought forth on the earth. That's what the Most High is speaking about. He's speaking about confusion through war, through pandemonium, through destruction. But he uses blood coming out of the wood, the stone giving a voice. He uses nature to be able to paint the picture of confusion and destruction taking place. Okay, so the Sodomitish sea is really going into the Dead Sea. Okay, let's pull that up, since, like I said, we diving deep into this. Okay, let's pull up Dead Sea on the map, right? On an ancient map. And you know what? Let's do Bible, right? Let's type in Bible. And I want to see if they give us Sodom. Let's type in Sodom and Gomorrah too. Okay. Right. Let's see if they give us Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so they got a question mark right here. But you see right here in the red, this is Gomorrah, this is Sodom. Then you had Zoar, you had these 5 cities, and you see the Dead Sea, which is known for not having fish, not giving life. That's why it's called the Dead Sea, right? There's not an abundance of creatures to eat. So when the Most High is saying that the Sodomitish sea is going to bring forth fish, again, it's a parabolic way of the Most High saying there's going to be confusion wrought in the earth. Things that are dead are going to bring forth life, and things are going to be out of place, and things are going to be in places where they don't belong, which goes into, again, confusion. Okay, massive confusion. Let's go back to this. It reads, 2nd Ezra 5 and 8. There shall be a confusion. You see that? Also in many places. And the fire shall be oft sent out again. And the wild beasts shall change their places. And menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. And you're seeing confusion in many places. Like I said, this confusion is a broad term, but it goes into how society operates in days of panic and in days of war. Now you have confusion. Now you have, let me get a precept real quick. Let's go to, let's open up another apocrypha. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, right? You have homosexuality. This is minor confusion. I mean, it's major confusion, but there's more confusion that's going to take place outside of transgenderism, homosexuality, right? That's confusion, right? You have people marrying beasts, and you got people dressed up like animals to marry people. You got all types of madness going on, right? But so this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse number 24. It reads, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. So now every marriage is defiled. You have men with men, you have women with women, you have people marrying themselves, people marrying beasts. That's confusion. So all marriages are defiled. You got women marrying multiple men at the same time. You got men committing adultery, women committing adultery. So in the last days, marriages are completely defiled. But either one slew another traitorously or grieved him by adultery, right? Men are killing other men and women killing women, all types of confusion. So that there reigned in all men without exception, blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumult, perjury. This is the confusion that's reigning in all men. So there are actual Demons, these are all spirits and demons and actions that are the result of being possessed by a demon. Blood, that's murder; manslaughter, that's killing; theft, dissimulation, that's causing confusion; corruption in the earth. Governments are corrupt. Politicians are corrupt. World leaders are corrupt. Unfaithfulness, tumults. Tumults is what you're about to see as this war continues. Yahushua calls it troubles in Mark the 13th chapter. And Luke the 21st chapter, Yahushua calls it commotions. These are the tumults. That's confusion in many places. There are people fighting in India right now over gas. This is the real deal. Look at these Elamites at the gas station kicking each other. I mean, they're doing all types of moves, man. You know? They fighting. They losing their mind. There is word out that a lot of these people are dying. They can't cook. I saw a video where it was at least 100,000 not Moabites, Elamites on a damn mopeds in line. So this is the confusion and tumults going on. You got this going on. Where is this at, man? I mean, there's so much. Let me see. Man, I sent that to brothers earlier. I don't think I pulled it up. Man, you had this Elamite. I'm going to touch on this later, man. You had this Elamite. Let me see. Is this what I want? Hold on. Let's see. I have to find it. I have to go back to it, but man, I'll find it later. Right, Lord willing. Like I said, we got a lot of time, but you see what's going on in these different countries, man. Right, you see what's going on in these countries, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. This is coming to America. A lot of people think that America is not going to be directly affected by the war, right? No, this thing is going to hit your wallet. It's going to hit your pocket. Gas where I'm at is already $5. It was like $2.49 2 weeks ago. It's damn near it's a little over $4 now. It'll be $5 by the end of April. You have different nations telling their people, hey, look, you can't drive this week. Hey, look, you got to work from home. Hey, look, you only got to drive, you can drive this many miles. So there's a lot going on in the earth. We're going to touch on that a little later. But it reads again in 2 Ezra 5 and 8, there should be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again. The fire is by means of the missiles. And the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. You're going to have people with no morals, decadence, children blowing each other up, murders on the earth, wild beasts changing their places due to the Most High using man to destroy the natural habitat. Remember, during war, a lot of these natural habitats of these beasts are going to be destroyed, and they're going to, by means of war, they're going to be forced to leave their natural habitat. When famine increases and there's dead bodies, wild beasts are going to change their places to find food. And the food is going to be the carcasses of the men that have sinned against the Most High God in these different cities. That's why they show you in the movies like I Am Legend or those other dystopian post-apocalyptic movies, lions in the middle of New York City, right? Wild beasts in Chicago somewhere in a city with grass overgrown and vines everywhere because of war, right? And because of famine. 2 Ezra 5 and 9. And salt water shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding will withdraw itself into a secret chamber. So you're going to have confusion. Salt waters found in the sweet. There are going to be natural boundaries and habitats and actions of man that's going to do a complete 180. Right? That's what this means. Salt water shall be found in the sweet. You're going to have violence in the earth. You're going to have more war. When you see in the Middle East, Iran and Israel, and you think those are the only two countries that's going to get involved, you're going to have, pursuant to Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, you're going to have the dragons of Arabia. They're already getting ready. United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, all those countries are about to start destroying one another. Now, they're all Muslims. It's supposed to be brothers in Islam. They're going to be destroying one another. All friends destroying one another is, on a macro level, nations that were former allies under the same morals, religions of the same nation. They're both Ishmaelites. They're going to be destroying one another. Edomites are going to be destroying one another. These Russians are Edomites. They're going to be fighting against their fellow Edomites. You're going to have friends in America destroying one another. If neighbors, roommates, people that stay, you might stay in an apartment complex, people stay above you, under you, people going to be killing each other, man. A lot of people say, well, that's fear mongering. No, that's the truth. That's in the Bible. Oh, that's fear mongering. You're always thinking the worst. You're not optimistic. Well, the prophets ain't supposed to be optimistic about the kingdoms that they prophesy against. We're very pessimistic concerning the success of America and their ability to bounce back. Because in Jeremiah it says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. There's no balm for her. There's no healing of thy bruise. It tells you that in Nahum. Let me get that in Nahum, the 3rd chapter. Right? Nahum, the 3rd chapter. There is no healing of thy bruise. This is Nahum, chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse. Man, this is a beautiful chapter, man. I love Nahum. This is Nahum, chapter 3, and I'm going to start at, man, this whole chapter is amazing. All right, I'm gonna start at 3 and 15. Nahum 3 and 15. There shall the fire devour thee, the sword shall cut thee off, it shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the cankerworm, make thyself many as the locust. So the fire from the missiles and a fire of war from Russia, China, Iran is going to cut off America's power. And you're beginning to see America's decline right in front of you. America's only as strong as the dollar. And their dollar, this petrodollar, is beginning to lose its value at a rate that the world has never seen before due to how Iran is able to control the oil supply. And they're getting nations to buy oil in the Chinese yuan. And they're dictating even to other countries like China who can go and who can come. And if they're not trading oil in the dollar has no weight, it has no value. Right? So there's fire that's going to devour Babylon the Great. Verse 16, thou hast multiplied thy merchants above the stars of heaven. The cankerworm spoileth and flieth away. And America has multiplied their merchants. They have done trade with every country. Every country keeps dollars in their reserves. That's why it's called, even to this day, the global reserve currency. America has used the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the Federal Reserve to increase the amount of merchants that they have around the world. And the corporations and international boundaries that deal with the dollar. So they have so many merchants to make them rich, but it's going to all collapse, and it's collapsing now. It reads, thy crown are as the locust, and thy captains as the great grasshoppers. That's their military might, which camp in the hedges in the cold day. The cold day is the time where America had power. The cold day represented the time period, primarily Salakia, post World War II, all the way up until about really the time that we're in now. That was the cold day, where the grasshoppers and the locusts and the American military dominated the world, where they were the strongest nation, where they had superior technology, where they had superior and advanced warfare capabilities. And they camped in hedges, and they had military bases and embassies everywhere. That's the cold day. But things are about to change. And let's read on in Nahum 3:17. But when the sun ariseth, they flee away, and their place is not known where they are. And the sun arising represents the destruction that's going to come with the return of our Lord Yahushua. So they're good now until the sun arises, the fire and the affliction. And it's going to burn up all their grasshoppers, all their locusts, and all their military. Nahum 3:18. Thy shepherds slumber, O king of Assyria. Thy nobles shall dwell in the dust. Thy people are scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathereth them. So this Nahum 3:18 is talking about a complete collapse of the government's control on the people. And the people have no trust in the government. This links up with 2 Ezra 15, where the Lord said, they shall not regard kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So the shepherds of the king of Assyria represent the elites and the government that run America. And the people that follow them are called the sheep. They call them sheeple. That is a term that the elites use to describe the American citizens who obey and consume. So they're the sheeple following the shepherds. And their nobles are these top congressmen, these top presidents, these top politicians. They're going to dwell in the dust, meaning be brought down to a lower state. It reads also, thy people are scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathereth them. And this is a result of how the government treats the people, a result of panic buying, a result of war, a result of prices increasing, unaffordable living. The people are going to be scattered. And there's no politician and world leader that's going to be able to gather the American people under their American cause anymore. People are fed up. You got Edomites saying, why did I vote for Trump? I guess that makes me an idiot. Why did I do this? He's an a-hole. He's a piece of shit. These are Edomites saying that. These ain't Israelites. These are Edomites. So ain't nobody going to be able to gather. Ain't no more. You had American presidents that could gather the people. You had men like FDR, JFK, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, prominent Edomite men, Eisenhower, Wilson, who could control the people. Can't nobody control these people anymore. It's over with. That's what this means. Thy people are scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathereth them. Here's the point I want. Nahum 3:19. There is no healing of thy bruise. Thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap the hands over thee, for upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually. So there's no hope for America. There's no healing. Well, what about a stimulus package? Ain't no damn stimulus package. Well, what about a bailout? There's no bailout. Well, what if there ain't no what if? God said it's over. It's a wrap. They're done. This war and how things are playing out, it's only going to escalate because they have done wickedness continually on the earth. So the Most High can't heal them, man. And man, you can't heal them. They are set up for destruction. Right? So let's go back to this in 2 Ezra 5. That's what this means. And all friends shall destroy one another. Right? Let's read on the 2 Ezra 5 and 10. It reads, and shall be sought of many, and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon the earth. So people are going to look for the truth and they're going to be able to find it. You got to understand that the servants of the Lord, they're not going to be out there in the highways and byways forever. YouTube is about to be a thing of not. So if you didn't take advantage of learning, repenting, coming back to the Most High, then that's on you. Because many people are going to look for the truth and they're not going to be able to find it. Internet is going to be shut down. Ain't going to be no more camp. The men of the Lord are going to be fleeing from city to city due to persecution. 2nd Ezra 16 says that they're going to be cast out of their houses. They're going to be pilgrims on the earth. You know, it reads, one land shall ask another and say, is righteousness that maketh the man righteous going through thee? And it shall say no. So they're going to be looking for prophets and apostles. They're the ones that are righteous. They're going to be looking for those men on the highways and byways, and they're not going to be able to find them because they're going to be looking for answers. In the ancient world, men would, let me get that precept in 1 Samuel 9. They would look for prophets when they needed answers. 1 Samuel 9:9. Before time in Israel, when the men went to inquire of God, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was before time called the seer. So people are going to be asking for God, asking for righteousness. And they're going to say, let's go to the seers. Let's go to the prophets. And the prophets ain't going to be out there. Right? The Lord says in Matthew the 25th chapter, go to them that sell. Go to them that sell and buy for yourselves, because the foolish virgins are going to try to get the oil from the wise virgins. That's why it's important to make sure that you have oil and you're in the spirit. You know, and you have a full reserve of oil, which represents the spirit of truth embedded in you. And it's allowing your light to shine. Okay. Back to this in 2nd Ezra 5:12. At the time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. So there's no good that can come from the events that you see. People are banking on the economy to bounce back. People are banking on prices to go down. People are banking on the war to be over with and for there to be peace. You have people actually praying for peace. And they're hoping, but they're not going to get what they want. And nothing is going to prosper. Everything's about to get worse and worse. Right? Everything's going to get worse through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. And things are going to get worse because the rulers of the earth are wicked, right? And they are a lot of, again, what you see is done by design, right? A lot of what we see going on is done by design. Is war in Iran, just like the pandemic, right? That was by design. You know, these lockdowns, they call them energy lockdowns. To what extent they're going to be, you know, we're watching, right? And we're measuring the times daily. But a lot of countries are on the verge of being completely locked down. Australia is on the verge of being completely locked down. They have run out of diesel and gas at over 100 gas stations, right? France, Russia just came out and said, we're not giving any more oil out. And I had that link. Let me pull that up. Where is that at? Through the spirit. The decision, and this is on multiple sites, you can always verify this. So like it reads, the decision to ban Russian gasoline exports for Russian producers from April for first 6 months has reportedly been made. And I've seen this on multiple sites. And Russia is a major, major, major gasoline exporter for Europe. Many countries in Europe and around the world rely on Russia for gasoline. And they say, look, we can't afford to just give all this stuff out. We're going to hold on to this. We need this for 6 months. Right, let me see if I can get that in another site. Russia ban gas exports. Right? So this is a big deal. This is a huge deal. And all this is by design. Right? This is Reuters. Another credible source. Russia to introduce ban on gasoline from April 1st. That's the day of the Passover. Now, I'm going to look up how many countries in Europe depend upon Russia for gas. Right? And remember, not too long ago, a few years ago, they destroyed that the Nord Stream pipeline? You know? So every year there's always something that's affecting the energy supply for people in the land of the living. And a lot of these things are manufactured. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to just read the beginning. Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak on Friday instructed the Energy Ministry to draft a resolution banning gasoline exports from April 1st, the Russian government said. The state-run TASS news agency earlier reported that the ban would remain in place until July 31st. Novak said that turmoil in the global oil and oil products market caused by the crisis in the Middle East is leading to significant price fluctuations. At the same time, the high demand for Russian energy resources and foreign markets remain a positive factor. Right? So there's a lot of turmoil that's about to take place, man. There's a lot of turmoil that's about to take place in the land of the living, right? And for brothers that may not know, let's see what they say. How many European countries, let's see, depend on Slocky? I'm just typing this in. I didn't plan on going too deep into this. Russian gas exports. As of late 2025, while the European Union reduced its overall reliance on Russian gas to around 18%, down 45% in 2021, several countries remain significantly dependent. Hungary, Slovakia, Austria, Italy, Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Moldova. Top importers, Hungary, Slovakia, and France remain major buyers of Russian gas. And France, they ain't looking too good in France. This is bad. You're seeing how these world leaders are putting vice grips on who can have energy, who can have oil, who can have electricity, who can have gas. You know? They just had a whole blackout in Cuba. Now I heard they got their lights back on, but damn, huh? You know? So the world is corrupt, man. And this is going to lead, a lot of these events are going to lead to famine. It's going to lead to famine, massive starvation, and many people around the world without water and without food. The tractors on these farms, they don't run off of love. They run off of diesel. They run off of the gas. And if there's limited imports into America to other parts of the earth, you're seeing these prices skyrocket. Now, America does have oil reserves. A lot of countries have reserves. They're releasing them, but that's not going to stop the prices from going up. It may temporarily, but this thing is still going to wax worse. Now, this says the whole world is reeling over high gas prices and limited fuel supplies. Could we expect a so-called energy lockdown here at home? And a lot of these countries now, again, they are putting legislation into place to save energy in their country. Again, they're telling their people, and it's different ordinances put out depending on where you live. In Egypt, they're saying, look, everything's shut down at 9 p.m. Philippines, they saying, hey, look, what do they say? Goddamn. Oh, only this many people, and I believe in Serbia, only these many people can, or Slovenia, only these many people can get gas at this time. Right? If you have this license plate, you can get this amount of gas. They call it fuel rationing. So they're asking, is this coming to America? And I believe it is. I believe they're going to start telling people work from home. You know, you can only drive this much. Right? You can't use gas stoves. You got to use this. Right? Let me click this real quick. Are energy lockdowns coming to America? And we know what happened during the pandemic, the pestilence. They were doing lockdowns. You couldn't travel unless you were a, what did they call it? Essential workers. You know, you had to have distance. A lot of these devils, what they do is they create problems. They make things very problematic, create a lot of chaos so they could control the population and control the masses of people. See, the Most High said, and let me get this in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, about how these rulers operate, right? They want to control the masses of people. They start these wars. They cause chaos so they could put laws into place to be able to control the masses of people. And that pandemic 2019 pestilence, that was just like a test run. A test run, rather, a trial run. Who was going to be compliant? How much resistance did they have? You know? So this Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and 1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand. Learn, ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. So this is a direct message to people in leadership and power. Give ear, you that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. For power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest, who shall try your works and search out your counsels. Because every leader, they're in power because the Most High put them in power. Whether you're a puppet king or you're the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, these DuPonts, all these top families, they were all put in power by the Most High. Now, when the Most High puts you in power, you're supposed to govern the people based off of the laws and the statutes and the commandments that was given from Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. When you begin to deviate from righteousness due to pride and lust and confusion, the Most High, he sends the angels down to examine how your kingdom is being ran. The angels bring a report to the Most High, say, hold on, this society is wicked. Why do you think the angels was out there in Sodom? Because the kingdom was wicked. Don't you know there are angels that go to and fro, even in Babylon the Great, bringing reports about what's going on here? Russia, China. They have deviated from the precepts that are set up to govern a nation. And the Bible covers everything. How to run an economy, how to take care of the land, how to take care of the animals, how not to rape the earth and what's the word I'm looking for? Overuse the soil and have the land Sabbath and don't eat too much and don't consume too much and depend on the earth and take care of nature, take care of the people, give to the poor. You think any of these kingdoms on the earth are keeping the precepts based off of the Bible? No. I don't care how righteous Iran thinks that they are, or Russia or China. Ain't not one of these kingdoms living off of the Bible, man, keeping the commandments. They're not. And 90% of these nations work together behind the scenes for the powers that be. Let's read on. Because being ministers of his kingdom, you have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of God. Horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places. And that's why there is famine and war coming on the earth. Ultimately, this stuff is from Yahweh Shemiah Shai. And the Lord said a sharp judgment is going to be to them that be in high places. Who's in high places? All of the Rothschilds, all of the Rockefellers, the Kennedys, the DuPonts, the Gettys, these puppet kings, Putin, what's the name? The Ayatollah, whatever that devil's name is in Iran. A lot of people are on Iran's side. We're not on Iran's side. We're on the Most High side, man. The Most High is using Iran. You brothers, you see the Lego propaganda they're putting out there. They getting down. I give them that. They getting down. How they worshiping Baal, and all that stuff, man. But they're still wicked, and they gonna get it too. Them Arab leaders, they gonna get it. That's what this means. Horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places. So all these world leaders that are in high places, they're beginning to get the sharp judgment from the Most High God. Let's read on. That's why there's going to be a global collapse. And these world leaders believe that this is their plan. And they believe that they're going to come out on top. They believe they're going to start this war, control the chaos, cripple the world's economy, have nuclear bunkers, enforce martial law, control the people, come out of the bunkers, and establish a new heavens and a new earth under the image of Satan and confusion. And they want to be able to control how far you can travel, who can buy, who can sell, who can work, how much energy you can use. I saw a video that said we want to start controlling how much water you can drink. These devils want complete control. They want to be like the Most High so much. Who can use this much energy? Who can do this? This world is ran by the wicked, man. That's Job 9:24. This is Wisdom of Solomon 6:6. For mercy will soon pardon the meanest, but mighty men shall be mightily tormented. So if you're in the lowest state, you'll get mercy from the Most High because you're not in a position of power. But if you're a mighty man like these world leaders, you're going to get mightily tormented. For he, which is Lord of all, shall fear no man's persons, neither shall he stand in awe of any man's greatness. For he hath made the small and great, and careth for all alike. But a sore trial shall come upon the mighty. Right? Let's go to Sirach, the 10th chapter. Right? We're talking about these world leaders for a quick second. And these powers that be, who manufacture chaos. The word manufacture means they make it by hand. Manus, which is a Latin word for hand, and facture goes back to the Latin word facere, which means to do. So when things are manufactured, they are done by the works of man's hands. Okay? And all of these laws and all of these things that you see, what oil increasing the price of it, gas increasing, riots, these things are manufactured by wicked powers behind the scenes. That's why, again, let me read a little of this article, right? That's why, again, they're talking about energy lockdowns and countries being locked down. So let me read a little of this right here. It reads, let's see, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Let's see. Let's touch down. I just want to get straight to the point. Okay, let's get straight to the point. You know what I mean? This whole thing is good, but what is an energy lockdown? Right? What is, for a brother that may not know, what actually is, Salakia, an energy lockdown, right? It reads, whenever I think about the government mandating something, I get flashbacks to the last time that happened. It sparked extreme vitriol, if I'm pronouncing that right, and crushed our economy in a way we still haven't bounced back from. Because they controlled, when they had COVID and had that happen, it crushed the economy, and supply chain systems were completely disrupted. That was all by design. Later, at a congressional hearing, we learned that Anthony Fauci, the mastermind behind it all, he really wasn't the mastermind. He just was the puppet to take the heat. You think Anthony Fauci made all that up, man? He was the mastermind? No. He was just the face of the experiment, you know? Nevertheless, they said that they were just making stuff up. And they did come out and confess that. Yeah, we made all that up. There was no proof that we needed people to stand 6 feet apart. The mask, we made that up. They came out and said that. And nobody got mad about it. People just turned on a Super Bowl and they turned on the Grammys and they ate their Big Mac and they watched Jeopardy. You would think that would lead to a complete rebellion and an overthrow of a government. But you know how it is in Babylon the Great. It says, and that mandates like 6 feet apart and masking materials had no basis in science. So let's touch on some of these lockdowns. It reads, while nobody has imposed full work from home mandates, such measures are actively being considered. So as oil and gas prices continually skyrocket, these world leaders are putting mandates and measures into place to conserve oil, gas, and other forms of energy. Here's some examples. Pakistan has closed school for 2 weeks and is allowing office workers to work from home. And all this should sound familiar about just like during the pestilence era. All this should kind of ring a bell. Sri Lanka declared Wednesdays to be a public holiday to help make its fuel supplies go further. So all these countries are putting laws and things into place. Here are some draconian measures being considered in Pakistan, where Sindh local government minister Nasir is leading the charge. Smart lockdowns, first introduced in Pakistan during the pestilence, are targeted restrictions aimed at controlling movement and limiting gatherings in specific areas. So this is what they're doing in other countries. Smart lockdowns. Now they're saying that certain vehicles can only be on the road 4 days a week, 3 days a week. I was talking to brothers. I said, man, camp is going to get difficult, and traveling for camp and a lot of how the ministry operates is going to change. And all you brothers that go out on the highways and byways, your ability to travel and a lot of these laws and price increasing in gas, brothers are going to have to adapt and learn how to be able to put this word out in an efficient manner. Carpooling is going to increase and more lives. And it's going to be a lot that affects this ministry, but they're doing this already in other countries. Let's read on. Under this system, authorities can impose restrictions on individual neighborhoods, streets, or communities rather than enforcing a citywide shutdown. In areas under a smart lockdown, no more than 4 people are allowed to gather at a time. And only one person per household may leave their home after explaining their reason to law enforcement. Public events, social gatherings, and celebrations are prohibited, while neighborhoods and targeted zones may be sealed. So things are getting tight, man. They're saying only what they say, one person can lead a household after you give a good reason. You better have a damn good reason, or they're gonna hit you upside the head, man, and throw you in some prison. Now that's happening, and it's beginning to be put into place in other countries, right? It's the real deal. It says rationing and restrictions are already being enforced in many countries. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but these are, again, restrictions that other countries, due to the war in Iran, are beginning to enforce. And again, this war was planned, and these devils know what they're doing. Okay. Europe's 50-liter limit. Countries like Slovenia have imposed a strict 50-liter daily cap on fuel for private citizens. Long queues, those are long lines, at petrol stations, those are gas stations, have become the new checkpoints, with police monitoring purchases to prevent hoarding. So that's like martial law. Imagine going to your gas station, it's armed military there watching you at the pump. Where are you going? That's too much gas. You only get a quarter of a tank. Right? Where are you traveling? How long are you going to be there? You can't fill your tank up. People in front of gas stations, armed security, holding the gun to your head, saying, what the hell are you getting? You've been here too long. Keep it moving. 5 minutes to get a quarter of gas and get out and keep it moving. Now, they did this back in the 70s. I wanted to show this clip. They did this back in the 70s, man. Right? During a previous gas shortage. I'm going to go back to that article. Right? Oh, that's not what I want. Let me get this. I had this clip. This is 1979. They did odd and even gas rationing in America. For anybody that believes that, oh, that's Pakistan. Oh, that's India. Oh, well, that's in, France. That will never come to America. They did it already in America. About 50 years ago, with 79, 89, 99, 2009, 2019. Damn near 50 years ago. So check this out. This is all fair use. They did odd, even gas rationing. So if your license plate was odd, then you can go out and get gas. If it was even, you had to wait your turn. If they caught you trying to get gas out of order, all hell broke loose. So let's play this clip. And these people, man, these people was mad. Let's play this.
Isn't this disgusting? This is unreal. Isn't this disgusting? Why doesn't anybody contact the president? Why is he letting this happen to us?
To sum up in the word of one irate motorist, the first day of the odd-even system was a disaster. Gas lines at many stations were a lot longer than normal.
And hold on, let me, Slacky, I'll be pausing it. But people, as you watch this, they're kind of calm. They're not going to be so calm. People are already on edge. People already hate the government. They hate they hate Trump. They hate this war in Iran. They don't support the draft that's about to come. They don't support them up in the age limit to go fight overseas. People are fed up with American foreign policy. So their ability to be complicit with this gas rationing is not going to be how it was in 1979. It's going to be a lot of rebellion going on, man. I got somebody trying to take the gun from some of these police officers, man. Let me play it from the beginning. I'm going to play it straight through.
This is unreal. Isn't this disgusting? Why doesn't anybody contact the president? Why is he letting this happen to us?
To sum up in the word of one irate motorist, the first day of the odd-even system was a disaster. Gas lines at many stations were a lot longer than normal.
Line today is longer than it's ever been. I have no explanation for it.
This gas line at one station on the Upper West Side ran from 96th Street and West End Avenue all the way up to 102nd Street. As might be expected, the longer the line and waiting time, the angrier some motorists became.
I think it's terrible. I really think it's terrible. I'm in here for an hour already.
There's no shortage. I don't believe there's a shortage.
And there's actually not a shortage, right? She made a point. You heard she said, I don't believe there's a shortage. It's not really a shortage. It's a manufactured concept of scarcity, right? That's why it's marketing. When people say, oh, we only have this many, they do that for cars, anything that they want to price up. They say we have a limited supply only. You see it on the commercials. Get it while you can. Limited supply only. Ain't no damn limited supply. But what it does is it plays on the mind of the people to make them believe that there's an actual limited supply. So the demand of it goes up because there's a false sense of scarcity that's given to the public. So when they're saying, oh my God, we only have a little bit of oil, a little bit of gas, there's more than enough oil in the earth that the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashmiel Shai made. There's more than enough water in the earth. There's more than enough resources in the earth to sustain the creation that the Most High hath made. But these devils, again, they provide a false sense of scarcity to work on the minds of the public so that they can riot, panic buy, lose their mind, and destroy one another. Right? So she was actually on point when she said that. There's no shortage. I don't believe there is. And there's not a shortage. But if you believe that, then you're going to act on that.
There's no shortage. I don't believe there's a shortage.
The odd-even system can't do anything about the problem of no gas.
This guy sounds like Morgan Freeman.
The odd-even system can't do anything about the problem of no gas. Some of the people online here have been in other lines and still don't have a tank of gas.
This is the second gas line this morning.
What happened at the first?
They ran out.
See that? He said this is the second gas line this morning. At the first one, they ran out. This is coming back. This is coming back in a big way. It's already happened in other countries. Right? You heard what he said.
This is the second gas line this morning.
What happened at the first?
They ran out.
I've been in 2 gas lines already.
This morning?
This morning.
How long did you wait for the first
I've been in both lines over an hour, and I'm out of gas.
He out of gas. Waiting in line, out of gas. People ain't going to go for this for too long.
Dead out.
Most service station operators were not following the new regulations to the letter. Drivers with more than a half a tank of gas should have been turned away, but no one was checking.
See, they say people wasn't complicit. They were supposed to get a half a tank of gas and leave. They said no. We're going to do what we want to do.
I don't intend doing that. It's too risky.
This morning, we're a little short on help, so we are not checking gauges. But from what the purchases have been, there really is no need because they're all getting large sales.
What are we trying to do?
Well, my son is trying to see how much gas we have left in the tank and whether we can make it out on the Sawmill River Parkway. So he stuck his walkie-talkie antenna in the tank, which I do not see we're going to get out.
Well, all you motorists with odd number plates, tomorrow, it's your turn.
So you see what was going on, and that's back in 1979, right? That's back in 1979. These world leaders, they were already doing this stuff, man. Right? The only thing now is evil has increased in the earth, man. Let me get Matthew 24. See, the Most High said that iniquity shall abound, and the love of many is going to wax cold. This St. Matthew chapter 24 and 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So people are going to be cold-hearted. You know, people are going to rob, loot. They are not going to be complicit with laws concerning oil and gas and how much food you can buy and, you know, how much gas you can buy. People are going to shoot, kill, rob. These things are mentioned all throughout the Bible, you know, and people are going to, when they're backed in the corner, they're going to turn into predators, right? They're going to turn into predators and hunters. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3. It's like in verse number 1. This know also that in the last days, perilous times shall come. And these are the last days. Last days started 2,000 years ago or so, right? But these are the latter days on the earth. And the Lord said, perilous times shall come. What does the word perilous mean? Let's pull that up. What does perilous mean? Full of danger or risk. Exposed to imminent risk of disaster or ruin. Here's some synonyms: dangerous, hazardous, risky, unsafe, treacherous, problematic, dicey, in danger, critical times, right? So things will not get better. It's going to be more dangerous out here, man. You know, that's why it's important, like we always say, to be on the right-hand side of Yahweh Shemi Shai. It's so important to make sure that you're moving in the spirit of faith. You're moving in the spirit of obedience. You're moving in the spirit of trusting in the Most High. Because I couldn't imagine not being under the protection and shadow of the Almighty, Yahweh Shemi Shai. You're asking to die. You're asking to die. We want the angels to protect us. I couldn't imagine being without. Man, I'll be at the plantation, man, and I work with this Jake. I work with a lot of Edomites, but it's an old Jake I work with, and we real tight, through the spirit. I look out for him, he look out for me. We kind of, you know how it is. So I be trying to talk to him about, what's going on, and I can't get too deep into the prophecy, and I can't open up the Apocrypha and go into, but I'll be looking like, man, our people, they don't know what's going on. And then especially these Edomites, man, people are living in a fantasy land. Even right now, people are in a fantasy land. When they were talking about the flight shutdown, I'm seeing people talk about, I guess it's road trip, summer 2026. Ain't no road trip, man. You paying $8 a gallon for gas. Where you going? People are still living in a fantasy world. The Bible says that there's full of danger and risk. Let's go back to this. 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Now the Most High is about to begin to tell you the behavior of man and what's going to drive these perilous times. Verse 2. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. These are all demons that's going to be on people, right? Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors. People gonna be trading on people, man. The Lord said, put not trust in a friend or in a guide, for every brother will utterly supplant. So let me get that real quick. I believe that's Micah, right? I believe that's what I want. This is Micah chapter 7 and verse 5. Quick precept. It reads, I'm gonna start at 2. Micah 7:2. The good man is perished out of the earth, And there is none upright among men. They all lie in wait for blood. They hunt every man his brother with the net. These are those perilous times. Now that was then, but this spirit is back on the earth. There is nobody upright. Nobody believes in the Bible. Nobody believes in the Most High. Nobody's talking about Yahweh Shai. Nobody's talking about salvation. Nobody's talking about the end of corruption and the beginning of incorruption. Everybody's looking to get it on their own. And you ain't gonna be able to trust nobody, man. And one of these countries, they was it siphoning gas already? Man, you go outside and your gas cap and your gas thing is all open, man. And somebody took all your damn gas. These are the days that are coming on the earth. People going to people's house for food. It reads that they may do evil with both hands earnestly. The prince asketh, and the judge asketh for a reward, and the great man, he uttereth his mischievous desire, so they wrap it up. The best of them is as a briar. The most upright is sharper than a thorn hedge. The day of thy watchman and thy visitation cometh, now shall be their perplexity. And Yahweh Shah spoke about perplexity in the earth. He spoke about confusion. The Lord said, even the man that you think is the most upright, he's still a demon. The best man on the earth, these top pastors, these top Christians, are pedophiles. They're child molesters. Even the most upright man that you think is a God-fearing man, he's doing wickedness. Right? So the Most High is going to visit them with confusion. Micah 7:5. Trust ye not in a friend. Put ye not confidence in a guide. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom, which means you ain't going to be able to trust nobody. Right? All you're going to be able to trust is Yahweh Ba'ashmi Awashad. That's it. The Lord said, even watch what you say around your woman, man. That's how bad times were. And if you doesn't mean that, you treat your fellow Israelite in any less fashion of love and kindness and charity, but the Most High is just showing you how behaviors of people are going to change and how you're going to have to just solely trust in Him. Because people switching up on people, man. That's 2 Timothy 3:4. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures, more than lovers of God. So there are difficult times that are coming on the earth, right? Difficult times that are coming on the earth because the earth is ran by the wicked. Let's get that in Sirach chapter 10 and verse number 1. Right? Sirach 10:1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Yeah, like King Solomon, King David, Josiah, Hezekiah. These were wise judges. Moses, they instructed the people in the laws of God, and he had order set up with the priesthood, with the people. They set up governors and captains. They had a strong military. Our leaders that were righteous, they had everything in order. Verse 2. As we read this, think about America. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Now, who's the leader, puppet king of America? Trump. Is Trump righteous? No. I just saw an interview. This is a national address, rather, to the public. And Trump said, I don't know if you brothers saw this. He said, I don't want any of my questions that you ask me screened. I want you to ask me anything. He said, if you want to talk, this is what he said. If you want to talk about sex, we can talk about that. Well, hold on, he's the president. We're in the midst of when I say we, I'm speaking in the mind of an American. They're in the midst of a war. And he said, if you want to talk about sex, we could do that. You had this Edomite woman that interviewed him. First thing he came out of his mouth to say, oh, you're very sexy. So he's a perverse, criminal, child molesting demon. Let me get that. Let me pull that up. Trump, if you want to talk about sex. Look at this. That's what he said. America is on a verge of a global or a national meltdown. And this is what the leader of the free world is talking about. There are hundreds of American soldiers that are dying that the media is not reporting on, allegedly. Gas and oil and prices are through the roof. He's sending thousands of soldiers to fight a battle, and this devil got the nerve to come out and say we could talk about sex. That's why we're reading in Sirach 10 and Wisdom of Solomon about the corruption of the leaders of the world at this time. And these men are not fit to run the earth. That's why the Most High has to replace them. Let me rephrase that. That's why Yahweh, Ba'ashmiyahu, has to kill them, destroy this kingdom, and he's going to rule the earth in righteousness. How could this guy be righteous? You could talk sex. Let me jump down. President Donald Trump. I'm gonna play the clip. Hold on, let's play the clip. Right? This is madness, man. Right? Hold on. Let me go back. Like I said, I still got a lot we got to get into, man. But I wanted to play this. Look at this madness.
So I want to just thank everybody very much, and I'm asked to take a few questions. And
this is Friday. This is damn near today.
So I want to just thank everybody very much, and I'm asked to take a few questions. And unlike other politicians, they would like the questions screened. I don't ask for screening of the questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can talk sex. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Okay, you could talk sex, but you don't want to talk about the Epstein files, where he is known for punching a 13-year-old little girl in the mouth for biting his man parts. So he's a hypocrite and a demon. You ask some questions about, okay, Trump, you're in these files, and it's saying that you punched a 13-year-old little girl, and you were charged for being a rapist, right? And all hell breaking loose. And the first thing you say out of your mind, out your wicked tongue, is, well, we could talk sex. Not war, not the lives of the soldiers that are going over there to risk their lives to maintain American imperialism, but we could talk sex. This is the leader of the free world.
So I want to just thank everybody very much, and I'm asked to take a few questions.
It just happened.
Unlike other politicians, they would like the questions screened. I don't ask for screening of the questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can talk sex.
You think King David would say that? Addressing the people? You think Simon, Judas Maccabees? Think about our leaders. Moses, Joshua, Nehemiah, Peter.
You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm here for you. Whatever question you want, you can ask. So do you want to do that? Do you want to do that?
Do you want to do that, huh? Right, let's go back to the Bible, man. Right, let's go back to the Bible, because again, this is a sure sign of Sirach, the 10th chapter. Let's go back to this. Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 and 2. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. So whatever spirit the leader is going to be in, those who follow him are going to take on that same spirit, sometimes consciously And sometimes they take on the behavior of their leader subconsciously, right? And they begin to emulate his mannerisms, his speech, and they take on his customs, his philosophies. And sometimes they don't even know that they're doing it. You know, that happens quite often. It reads, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 17. How is a king and a ruler supposed to govern the world or govern the earth, right? There are laws put into place for kings and leaders. All right. And there was another interview. Trump came out and told this woman, he said, you're sexy, man. He told the interviewer, let me get that one. Trump tells woman, you're sexy. All right. Where is this at? This just happened, man. I have to go back and find it. Right. I have to go back and find it. But this, I believe this just happened too, man. I don't want to go to images. I'll have to go back and find the actual, or he might have told her you're hot or something like that. Right? Let me see, man. Where is that at? I have to go back and find it. You know? Maybe this was like a week ago or so, but he came out and said that. Right? He came out and said that. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse number 16. Here's the king. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, they shall henceforth return no more that way. So kings are admonished by God to refrain from covetousness and from seeking their own desires and from seeking their own wealth and heaping up riches to themselves and putting the people into a position where their livelihood is compromised, right? That's what the Most High is saying, because Egypt was known for their great vastness of horses that they had. Remember, Solomon had a trade network where he got horses from Egypt. So if the king was to lead the people back into Egypt, he would put them under the vibration, for lack of better terms. Spiritually, he would put them under the spirit of the Egyptians. And they would begin to follow their customs. And a king, he would do that. And he would do that to destroy the people, but also to get the wealth of Egypt himself. So there's a level of discipline and a level of selflessness that comes with being a leader and being a king. And Trump and these powers that be, they don't showcase any of these spirits, man. They have heaped up gold for the last days, to that in James, the 5th chapter. They have gathered riches and wealth. They have robbed the treasures of the earth, right? It reads in Deuteronomy 17 and 17, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Right? So again, that spirit of covetousness and heaping up riches to yourself is strongly opposed by the laws of God. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law and a book out of that which is before the priest, and it's like the priest, the Levites. And you think these leaders of the free world are doing this now? You think they're writing down the law? The purpose of writing down a law is for you to see the law, meditate on it, and do it. That's what David was charged to do. Solomon, Abijah, or Rehoboam, Abijah, Asa, all of the kings of Judah, or the kings of Israel rather, too, were charged to move in the same spirit. So the focus of the king is obedience to the law. Verse 19, and it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear Yahweh Ba'ashmi Yahushua, his God, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes and to do them. And Trump, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Putin, none of these people are doing this, man. That's why the earth is full of war. That's why the earth is full of corruption. That's why the earth is filled with violence. Let me get that in Genesis, the 6th chapter, man. That's why the Lord destroyed the earth before. The earth was full of violence. This is Genesis chapter 6 and verse number 11. No new thing under the sun, right? It reads, the earth also was corrupt before the Most High, and the earth was filled with violence. And why was the earth corrupt? Who was running the earth at this time? The sons of Cain. Jeroboam and Tubal Cain, they were making weapons. They were controlling the economy and commerce and finances. And they had a complete control of the world at this time. All of the sons of Cain, we've done breakdowns on that. And there was wars and destruction on the earth. And those same spirits are running the earth now. Those same spirits of the sons of Cain and the fathers of war, the fathers of medicine, the fathers of the economy, all them spirits are back on earth. And the earth is filled with violence. And the Most High looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And the Most High said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. And the Most High did that, right? The Most High did that. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 17. Deuteronomy 17 and verse 20. That his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment, to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. So the purpose of reading the law all the days of your life is to keep you humble and to remind you that as a king, you're really a servant. Remember, Yahushua said, he that is greatest among you shall be as one that serves. And we're going into the Passover. Yahushua in John the 13th chapter, remember, he washed the disciples' feet, which was a sign of humility, a sign of servitude. Leaders are supposed to be servants and look for the welfare of their people. And you have to ask yourself, and you're observing it, that none of these world leaders that are bringing the earth into a horrible pit of war and confusion, none of them are obedient to the laws and the commandments of God. And that's why the earth is out of order. Right? Let me get this in Esther, the 10th chapter. This is Esther chapter 10 and verse number 3. For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people and speaking peace to all his seed. These are the leaders that we had, man. Now, he was up there. Mordecai, he was a big deal. He was second in command when you really go deep into it. But even in his position of power, he sought the wealth of his people. Often when our people get into positions of power, they become sellouts. They become coons, and they begin to destroy their own people so they can get wealthy or get into good favor with these heathen. Mordecai wasn't like that. He sought the wealth of his own people, and he spake peace to all his seed, because he was, again, moving in the spirit of the scriptures, of the laws and the statutes and the commandments as a leader, right? As a leader. So the earth is full of violence, man, because the leadership is corrupt. Let me get this in Proverbs. I want to go back to that article, but let me get this in Proverbs 29 and 16, right? One of the classics. It reads, Proverbs 29 and 16, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall, right? And that's why the prophecy says, prepare slaughter for his children, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Because the more Edomites you have on the earth, the more they multiply, the more homosexuality you have. the more pedophilia you have, the more wars you have on the earth, the more disease you have, and the more destruction you have. The Bible is telling you that the more white men, for people that don't get it, the more white people there are on the earth, the more evil the earth is going to be. Right? That's what the Bible is telling you. And the Lord is also saying another beautiful part about this precept, but the righteous shall see their fall. And we are seeing their fall. And their fall is not sudden. Their fall is gradual. Because through gradualism, they have corrupted the earth. And the Lord said in Wisdom of Solomon, he deals with gradualism. He says, by little and by little, he destroyed the Canaanites. He destroys kingdoms by little and by little. Did the Most High blink twice and destroy the Egyptians? No. In the days of Moses, he destroyed them by little and by little. One plague after the other. Right? And the righteous were able to see the fall of the Egyptians in real time. And that's what's going on in the last days. We're able to see the fall of our enemies. Like I said, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. This is the best time to be in this truth. If you were called in this 11th hour, or you were called, period, and you're able to see the estate of the world, you are truly blessed from the Most High God. And you have to accept that and thank the Most High for waking you up and bringing you to this knowledge at such a beautiful time. It's such a beautiful time to see so much war, so much destruction, and the world just collapse. We're seeing the fall of our enemy. Let me get that. Salakia and Ecclesiasticus, right? This Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25 and verse number 7. There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that hath joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. So that's a beautiful thing to watch. And we're not just watching America be destroyed. We're watching other nations destroy each other. You know, we're watching all of our enemies destroy each other with bombs and missiles, and we're just sitting back, calling on Yahweh Shema Shah, getting ready for this Passover, ready to eat this unleavened bread, drink this wine, eat the lamb, get down with the bitter herbs, and reminisce and rejoice how the Most High destroyed our enemies. This is really how it was in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, at the first Passover, it was kind of the same spirit that we in now. That was a little bit more extreme, but it's that same spirit of the Lord destroying our enemies, and we're just watching. They're in darkness, and we're in light. They're evilly affected, and we're righteously affected. Right? So it's always a beautiful thing to see the fall of your enemy. It's always a beautiful thing, and you have to thank the Most High. This is another quick precept. Psalms chapter 92 and verse number 11. Right? Psalms 92 and 11. Mine eye also shall see my desire on mine enemies, and mine ears shall hear my desire of the wicked that rise up against me. So you're seeing your desire on your enemies. You're seeing fire, brimstone, destruction, and death on your enemies, man. Right? So all praise to Yahweh Shema Shah. Let's go back to this. This is from that article we was reading earlier. Are energy lockdowns coming to America? So let's talk about kind of what's going on in the earth right now, right? What is actually happening? Europe's 50-liter limit. Countries like Slovenia are imposed or have imposed a strict 50-liter daily cap on fuel for private citizens. Long queues at petrol stations have become the new checkpoints, with police monitoring purchases to prevent hoarding. You know, and the scriptures also say, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You're not going to be able to travel as far as you would like to travel. You're going to have these checkpoints and letting you know, can you go into this city? Can you not? Right? Also, there's a 4-day mandate. The Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan have introduced a mandatory 4-day work week for public sector employees. Designed to reduce commuting, the measure ensures fuel is reserved for emergency services. And there's more than enough fuel. But again, there's a false sense of scarcity provided from these world leaders to make you think that there's not enough. So now there's a 4-day work week. What else is going on? National fuel rationing has been implemented in countries like Slovenia, Hungary, Sri Lanka, and India, with private citizens limited to between 50 and 50 liters per day. So think about America. Flights, traveling. You might have family that you might not see anymore, because people aren't going to be afford to drive to see their family. You may have family in Boston. Jake, you got a lot of family down south, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, South Carolina. You're not going to be able to afford. I'm not saying that people, brothers individually, but I'm speaking generally. People aren't going to be able to afford to travel that many miles, man. Because they're going to be thinking about putting food on the table. How are they going to get to work? How are they going to pay these bills? There's going to be checkpoints. So it's going to get to the point where if you got family, let's say you live in Massachusetts, right? Live in Boston. You got family in South Carolina. It might be over with, man. Straight up. I'm just calling it what it is. Gas hit $6, $7. You got a light bill, you got a phone, you got to try to keep on, and we don't got it like that. We're poor people. Even people that are kind of well off, man. You better call them on the phone. You better FaceTime them. Are you willing to pay $250 on a road trip one way and then $250 back in gas to travel across 4 state lines? Then you might need gas at a gas station. Traveling, it ain't going to be no gas there. So let's say you're traveling from Massachusetts to South Carolina, right? And you south, and you in you in PA, right? You got to drive through Pennsylvania. Gas stations might be done in PA. Are you willing to take that chance to be stranded out there? It's not a sure thing anymore. Or these are the days that's coming, rather. Okay, you made it through PA. All right, you in Maryland now. Are you willing to take that chance in a major metropolitan area to think that they're going to have enough gas for you to get to South Carolina and back? These are questions that people are going to have to ask themselves. Your amenities that you have, your Netflix, your HBO Max, your Apple Watch, right? These extra privileges that you have. Are you going to keep these? People are going to have to start making decisions. Are you going to be able to afford cable or, your family vacation trip? These world leaders are putting people into dire situations. And that's biblical. Let me get a quick precept. That's what Saul did. Remember, Saul put these people into dire straits, man. I had them eating blood and, destroying the people. Let me get a quick precept. This I'm gonna go back to that, but this is 1 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 24. Here's another example of a wicked leader destroying the people. And the men of Israel were distressed that day. That's how Americans are going to be. For Saul had adjured the people, saying, "Cursed be the man that eateth any food until the evening, that I may be avenged of my enemies." So none of the people tasted any food. That was the law put out. This was a wicked law, just like all of the wicked laws of America. He said, if anybody get caught eating any food until I kill my enemies, then they're going to be cursed. And all they of the land came to a wood and there was honey upon the ground. And when the people were coming to the wood, behold, the honey dropped, but no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. So they were starving. Right? Let me jump down. Verse 28. Then answered one of the people and said, this is what they told Jonathan, thy father straitly charged the people with an oath, saying, cursed be the man that eateth any food this day. And the people were faint. They were about to die because of wicked leadership. And they were going through a famine at this time. So what did they do? I want to jump down. Verse number 31. And they smote the Philistines that day from Michmash to Aijalon, and the people were very faint. And the people flew upon the spoil and took sheep and oxen and calves and slew them on the ground, and the people did eat them with the blood. This was out of desperation. See, you don't think they knew the law? Yes, they knew the law. Leviticus 19:26 on down. Leviticus 17 and 11 on down. You should eat no manner of blood. Leviticus the 3rd chapter. But when people are faint, they have wicked leaders, starving them out, putting wicked legislation into place, people are going to do desperate things. So they slew these animals and they ate food with blood in it. This was a bloody scene. People had blood all in their beard, blood all on and they're eating, picking up a sheep, biting into it. Killed the sheep, damn, gutted and just ate it. This was madness. But this is the result of, again, wicked leadership and wicked laws from rulers that puts the people into a position of panic, desperation, and chaos where they begin to do things that they normally would not do. And they lost their damn mind. Let's read on. Then, and this is Saul's fault. Now you can get mad at the people, but I mean, damn, man. They were faint. They fought a war. This was a horrible judgment from King Saul. Now think about all of the laws that they're doing now, that they're passing behind the scenes, these different restrictions. People are going to start doing stuff like this. People are going to do things that they normally wouldn't do based off of the conditions that are going to be set in place. 1 Samuel 14 and 33. Then they told Saul, saying, the people, behold, the people sin against the Lord, and that's like in that they eat with the blood. And he said, ye have transgressed. Roll a great stone unto me this day. So the people, they lost their damn mind. They lost their mind, man. Right? Let's go to Nehemiah, the 5th chapter. Right? This is Nehemiah chapter 5 and verse number 1. Another example of destroying the people, and where the people began to act out of sheer desperation. Right? That's how they began to act. We read one account in 1 Samuel. Here's another account. This is the post-exile life of the Israelites that lived in Judea. Nehemiah 5 and 1. And there was a great cry of the people and of their wives against their brethren, the Jews. And now people ain't crying against their brethren. They crying against the wicked leadership and the wicked government and the laws that are being passed, right? Verse 2. For there were that said, we are sons and our daughters are many. Therefore we take up corn for them that we may eat and live. They said, we're trying to survive. We ain't trying to die. We got sons, we got daughters. We need that barley, we need that wheat. Some also that were, some also there were that said, we have mortgaged our lands, vineyards, and houses that we might buy corn because of the dearth. So they sold everything they had. They put payments out on their land, they vineyards, they houses, so they could eat because of the dearth. The dearth was the famine. So again, look at how the behavior of people change due to circumstances. We read one in 1 Samuel. They slew the spoil and they ate food with blood, and they had blood everywhere. And Nehemiah, they had to sell all their land. People gonna be selling their cars in these last days, man. People gonna be selling their houses, renting out rooms. The amount of roommates are going to increase. People are going to be offering rides to people, man. People are going to be hitchhiking. You know, it's going to be a lot more yard sales, garage sales, because of the famine that's coming on the earth. That's what they had out of desperation. Nehemiah 5 and 4. There were also that said, we have borrowed money for the king's tribute, and that upon our lands and vineyards. They said, man, we have to borrow money. People going to be taking money out their savings. 401. They say now more people have taken, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the financial term? I can't think of it right now. But essentially, they're taking more money out of their 401ks than people have ever done before. They call it hard borrowing or something like that. People were banking on their 401k to support them in their retirement. 30 years from now, 20 years from now, they can't afford to have that money in the 401k. They pulling that out. They need that. They got to put food on the table. Let me get that. More people. Let me see if I can find that. More people are pulling out or pulling. Let's see, 401. What was that? 401k. Salaki. 401k. Check this out. A record number of Americans are tapping into 401k accounts for early hardship withdrawals. And you know they tax that. You know, let's say you got 10 grand in your 401k. You pull it out too early, you working with Fidelity, Vanguard, and they say, look, oh, you tripping. We're gonna need some of that. You got 10 grand, they want 2,500, 3,000. So you saved up 10 grand, you only pulling out, 7 grand. Because these wicked devils said, nah, we need that. You pull it out too early. So this is like Nehemiah, the 5th chapter, where the amount of borrowing is going to increase from the citizens based off of the dearth and the famine. They were in survival mode. That's the mode that people are in. That's why it's called tonight survival mode. And again, these aren't irrational decisions, but these are decisions that people are making that are outside the norm. Okay? So it reads, a record number of Americans are tapping into 401k accounts for early hardship withdrawals to manage financial pressures like medical bills, rent, or eviction. Data shows 6% of Vanguard plan participants took such withdrawals in 2025, up 4.8% in 2024, and 2% pre-pandemic, with the median withdrawal of 1,900. Why is this happening? Key reasons: rising cost of living, high debt loads, and unforeseen expenses are forcing households to use retirement funds as an emergency lifeline. Let's go back to Nehemiah, the 5th chapter, right? This is what we're reading about. Nehemiah chapter 5 and 4 from the top. There were also that said, we have borrowed money for the king's tribute so they could pay taxes, and that upon our lands and vineyards. Yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, our children as their children. And lo, we bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants. And some of our daughters are brought unto bondage already. Neither is it in our power to redeem them, for other men have our lands and vineyards. So they were essentially enslaving fellow Israelites, man. See, the year of release was put into the Most High has the year of release, where you work 6 years, and the 7th year, all debts are forgiven. But they were keeping people past the 7th year, past the 6th year. And people were doing things that they normally wouldn't do. So you might have had an Israelite that was working for you, and they was keeping them the 8th year, 9th year, 10th year. All hell was breaking loose, and the people were selling things, and they couldn't redeem it. And you was always supposed to grant. I'm not going to go too deep into the law, but you're always supposed to grant a right of redemption to an Israelite that he may redeem his land. And if he can't redeem it, the nearest of kin has a God-given right to redeem his land. The land cannot be sold forever because the land belongs to the Most High. You read that in the law, right? So all hell was breaking loose. You can go back and read that in Leviticus, the 25th chapter. You can read more about the laws of the land and how economics worked in the ancient world. Nevertheless, the people were in dire straits. Nehemiah chapter 5 and 6. And I was very angry when I heard their cry and these words, right? Then I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles and the rulers and said unto them, ye exact usury, every one of his brother, and I assembled a great assembly against them. And I set a great assembly against them. So he had a mob. He got a mob to come against these people, man. And I said unto them, and that's what you got to do sometimes. And I set a great assembly against them. He got a mob of people to confront the nobles and the rulers that was oppressing the people. Nehemiah 5 and 8. And I said unto them, we after our ability have redeemed our brethren the Jews, which were sold unto the heathen. And will ye even sell your brethren? Or shall they be sold unto us? Then held they their peace and found nothing to answer. They said, man, we just got out of slavery, and you putting our people back in slavery. You damn hypocrite, man. What the hell are y'all doing? So people going to be selling people, man. And your job may up your hours, man. Hey, look, man, I'm sorry. We need you to work, an extra 4 hours. We need that, man. People going to be quitting jobs. I mean, how employment is going to go is also going to change, right? Let's go to Nehemiah 9 and 37. People going to be getting let go of their jobs. Your job may call you in and say, you know what? We can't afford you. And you know how it works, because let's say you got a staff. People have staffing models, and they do capacity planning, and they base it off of, there's a whole system that these people put together to determine how many employees they need, how many hours, and they really go deep into that. Now, let's say you got 10 employees that make boxes, right? Just to give you a quick, simple example, you got 10 employees, they make boxes, right? They make like 100 boxes an hour, so let's say they cut 5 of them. The 5 they cut, the other 5 are still going to have to hit that quota. So if it takes them 8 hours to make 10 boxes, it's going to take them 16 hours to compensate for the other 5 workers that are going. So they're going to start cutting people at jobs, but expect the same results and productivity. They're going to be enslaving. Some of these jobs, they're going to be enslaving people, man. Because they can't afford to pay the people, but they still need the productivity to hit demand. So your job, they're going to say, hey, look, you know what, man? Hey, look, I'm sorry. We have to let 5 people go, but I know you normally get off at, 3:30. We're going to have to need you to stay 7:30. And they're going to have a hiring freeze. And they're not going to hire anybody. And a lot of these companies going to reduce their head count. They're going to start looking at their head count for the next fiscal year. Right? It's about to be the end of this fiscal year. They're going to go into And they're going to start saying, you know what? We can't go into this fiscal year and afford to keep 10 people. We got to have 5. And they're going to have to hit these numbers. So you're going to turn, people going to be turning to slaves. It's going to be like Nehemiah, the 5th chapter. You know? And people are going to say, well, I can't afford to find another job. I can't afford to travel to go to another job. Gas is too much. I have to deal with it. This is Nehemiah chapter 9 and verse number 37. And it yieldeth much increase unto the kings whom thou hast set over us because of our sins. Also, they have dominion over our bodies and over our cattle at their pleasure, and we are in great distress. And this is the time we're in. We're also in the days of Nehemiah 9 and 37. Where all of the kings that are over us because of our sins, they have dominion over our bodies. And part of these energy lockdowns is to have complete dominion over your body and over all your cattle, over all your possession. They want to know and determine how far you could drive, where you could travel, who you could see, right? Where you could work. And it's at their pleasure, not at your pleasure. It's at their pleasure. And the people are going to be in great distress. That's why they're going to be robbing, looting, killing, plundering, and pillaging. It's going to be at the pleasure of the wicked. At the pleasure of the wicked. Let's go to 1 Samuel, right? The 8th chapter, right? And I want to show these links. Where am I at with time? Right, that's all right. We're making good time through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashad. This is 1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse number 10. Here's the foundation of it all concerning the wicked leadership and the rulers over the earth, right? 1 Samuel 8 and 10. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. Because remember, Samuel was the judge and we had the Most High that was over us, right? And we wanted a heathen king like all of these Canaanites that we were around, Moabites and Ammonites. So the Lord said, okay, I'll give you over to your own lust. I'll give you over to your own vanity. But here's the king that's going to be over you. Now, as we read this, the characteristics of the heathen king, think again about our condition and how these world leaders operate. They operate in the exact same spirit. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 8 and 11. And he said, this is the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself. That's why they got the draft coming. What they say, from the age of 26 to 34, they're going to take your sons. Now, if you in this truth, you know, the Most High is going to have mercy on you, Lord willing. But if you're not in this knowledge, man, you're going to be caught out there. And these kings, they're going to take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. That's the draft. They upped the age, I believe, to what was it, 34, 42? Let me find that. Right? Age of military, was it conscription increase, right? Okay, effective April 20th, 2026, the U.S. Army has officially increased its maximum enlistment age from 35 to 42 years old. And he also said, if you smoke weed, ain't nothing we could do. Hey, hold this AR-15 and go to work. So, you know, they wanted a lot of jakes and a lot of people to get into this army. All right, that's what these kings are going to do. There's a draft coming. There's a little to no support for this war. So they're going to force these people to fight in this army. That's how these heathen kings get. They take your sons and they put them in tanks, put them in jets, and they're sending them to Iran to get blown the hell up on a landmine. That's what 1 Samuel 8 and 11 is talking about. Verse 12, 1 Samuel 8 and 12. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50s, and will set them to ear his ground and to reap his harvest and to make his instruments for war and instruments of his chariots. So they're going to take the people and have dominion over their bodies at their pleasure. Same thing as Nehemiah 9:37. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries. Those are like bakers, and to be cooks and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. This goes into how these devils have like their agenda 2030. They want to control how much land you have. They want to put everybody in what they call a 15-minute city. They want to have checkpoints and who can travel, who can't travel. That's the spirit of these ancient kings. A lot of people are wondering why is the world moving in such a controlling fashion. They've always done this. That's what the Bible is telling you. They've always wanted to control your fields. That's why they're burning in Nebraska. They're burning 600 acres of farmland that they can take it. They want to drain the Lake Michigan for a data center. They just went to these Edomite farmers and they said, we'll give you $27 million if you give us your vineyards, give us your land. And them Edomite women said, hey, the hell with you, man. And they cussed them out, man. Said, we don't want your damn money. But that's how these heathen kings are, man. Taking and having dominion and having control and trying to be like the Most High God. Taking your sons, taking your daughters, controlling the resources, controlling the wine production, controlling the olive yards produce oil. That's controlling the oil production, breaking it down in modern day times. Okay. Now it may not be olive oil, but it's oil they controlling. Diesel, gas supply. And they want the best of them. And they want to give them to their own people. So 1 Samuel 8 is about how heathen kings control resources, monopolize lands, put wicked laws into play to control the people. And that's exactly what's going on in the last days through the wicked leadership that destroys the people. All right, let's read this again. There's no new thing under the sun. And God warned about these wicked kings. And our people said, it's not that bad. And that's why we're in this situation right now. But thanks be to the Most High, we that fear the Lord, we know that the Lord is our king. And the Lord is going to take care of us. And we have nothing to fret or worry about. 1 Samuel 8:14. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the 10th of your seed and of your vineyards and give to his officers and to his servants. Those are taxes, heavy taxes. And he will make your men servants and your maid servants like it. He will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses and put them to his work. He's going to take over your business. There's no more mom and pop shops, man. It's all bought out by big corporations, big AI data firms, big data centers. You don't see mom and pop shops anymore, man. Amazon, Walmart, they control the whole supply chain. They took all of our, if you had employees, they taken them. If you had resources, they taken them. They taking every damn thing. That's what the ancient kings of the heathen have already done or have always done. So don't be surprised about the state of the world and New World Order and they're trying to do energy lockdown. Hey, these kings have always done that. God been warned us about that. And let's see what else is going to happen. 1 Samuel 8:17. He will take the 10th of your sheep and ye shall be his servants. Meaning you're going to be a slave. You're going to be in a detention center next to an incinerator. You're going to be a slave. You're going to be controlled where you can go, how much oil you can have, how much gas you can put in your car, and ye shall be his servants. Meaning you're going to be a slave. They're going to have dominion over your bodies. He's going to control everything. 1 Samuel 8 and 18. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. That day is when Saul came into power and other kings that oppressed Israel. But that day is these days we living in now. And the Lord ain't hearing the people crying out the famine. You're crying out, gas is increasing, oil prices. God help me. God save me. No, the Most High ain't hearing you, man. He's bringing this place down. And this is the powers that our people chose. And that all of the world chose. So the Lord ain't hearing the cries of the wicked because they brought this upon themselves. And what did the people do? Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel. And they said, nay, but we will have a king over us. And that's what the people are saying. You know, people are convincing themselves in their mind that after Trump, they're going to finally vote for the right candidate and get them in office. They still believe that there's another Edomite that can save them. They say, nay, but we'll have a king over us. Yeah, I know we catching the hell, but 3 more years, 4 more years, we're gonna have that right person in office. So our people are sick, and the people of the world are evil. The leaders are evil. Let's read a little bit more about this lockdown. The aviation sector is experiencing massive disruptions with airlines like United Air New Zealand and Lufthansa canceling or rerouting over 40,000 flights this month. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? In parts of Asia, including the Philippines, Thailand, and Pakistan, governments have mandated work from home policies and limited supply sector operations to reduce commuting and conserve energy. Meanwhile, in countries such as South Korea, Egypt, and Nigeria have imposed government-enforced price ceilings to prevent hyperinflation and keep essential fuel accessible, right? It's also being suggested that Australians work from home and drive more slowly. The UK is considering lowering speed limits. Just because this isn't being publicly discussed in the United States doesn't mean that these things aren't a possibility as the war that almost nobody wants drags on. Right? They say now it's time to start prepping. And yeah, preppers are increasing, man. Right? Now, if you got stuff, let me say this. It's not a sin to have things if you got an extra case of water, all that, but you don't put your trust in that. You put your trust in Yahweh B'Shmi Yahushua. Always put your trust in the Most High. You could do whatever, you could prepare in righteousness, you could do whatever you want to do, but if you are banking on that to save you, and you don't trust in the Most High, and you're not looking to build up your faith, that stuff, you're going to be caught out there. You're going to be caught out there. The Bible even says that we're going to be on the run. He that is in the field, let him not return to take things out of his house. They should be utterly destroying and spoiling those that fear the Lord. You know? Proverbs 21 and 31. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. Right? So our forefathers, for war, they would get their weapons. They would get their shields. They would get their, bows and arrows and daggers. But they knew that true safety came from Yahweh. Right? And that's the most important thing. The most important thing is knowing that safety comes from Yahweh B'Shmi Yahushua. Okay, you filled up your tank. Okay, you got an extra case of water. Okay, you got some toilet paper. Okay, it's not a sin. We're not going to say, oh, you're wicked, right? That would be ungodly to do such a thing. That would be horrible, wicked counsel. But the true counsel is to have trust in the Most High. Because a lot of brothers who put their trust in material things and put their trust in that, they're going to be in straits when those things are taken away from them, and or they run out, or somebody else take them, and they weren't taking that time to put their trust and faith and build up faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Right? Let me get another quick precept in Psalms chapter 20. Psalms chapter 20 and verse 7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of Yahweh our God. And there are many miracles that the Lord has done to save the elect. Right? There are many miracles that the Lord has done. Some men trust in the government. Some men trust in their own sword. Some brothers are heaping up weapons. I'm going to take Esau out and I'm going to do this, that, and the third. But are you remembering the name of Yahweh? Are you remembering the years of the right hand of the Most High? How many miracles can you name? How many miracles can you name that Yahweh Shah did? How many miracles can you name that relate to us surviving hard times, like a famine or a dearth or a lack of water, a scarcity of food? How many miracles can you name? But you know, all of the doomsday prepper bags and what to get, and you got your bucket list and you got a meeting spot for Jacob's trouble. You got all of that, but how many miracles can you name? Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. But I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of Yahweh our God. Again, it's not a sin. It is not a sin to have extra toilet paper, water, rubbing alcohol, whatever you would like to have. But safety and trust in the Lord comes first, right? They are brought down and fallen, but we are risen and stand upright. Save Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Let the King hear us when we call, right? So there's a lot going on in the earth, man. Prepare to survive engineered energy scarcity as a means of total enslavement. You know, we talked about these energy lockdowns. We talked about how these things are controlled. They're engineered. That a lot of these world leaders are in cahoots with one another. We went into 1 Samuel, the 8th chapter, 1 Samuel, the 14th chapter, Nehemiah, the 5th chapter, Nehemiah, the 9th chapter, Wisdom of Solomon 6, Ecclesiasticus, the 10th chapter. How wicked leadership and control has always been problematic for the saints, man. But, you know, we're going to trust in the Most High, right? What else did I have? One nation, this is in Australia. They called for a fuel crisis, right? I'm not going to play this whole thing, right? I'm not going to play the whole thing. But they were, in Australia, they losing their mind, man. They're losing their mind in Australia. So let's play this. I'm going to play a little bit of it. I'm not going to play the whole thing. But these guys, man, these elites, they hate Australia, man. They use them as the #1 testing ground. So fair use, check it out. I'm going to play maybe a minute or so straight through.
Which is crucial for the delivery of food, are screaming. Fuel, which is crucial for the delivery of food.
Fuel, which is crucial for the delivery of food.
Are screaming at us saying we have no fuel. Now, what is happening here very roughly, you've got the people who own the fuel on the water, you've got the people who own the big tanks, then you've got the independents, then you've got service stations and mum and dads. Now, we're hearing about dairies that are saying, well, we're going to be out of fuel, so you're not going to get our milk. We're hearing from poultry producers saying we're going to be out of fuel, so you're not going to get the eggs, nor you're going to get the chooks.
He's right. There's a thing in the world of supply chain called an out of stock. Some people, they have something called safety stock, right? Where they keep a surplus, for lack of better terms, of inventory or goods in the event that their main inventory kind of runs out or it gets damaged or whatever the case may be. Right? They have safety stock, and they also have an out of stock. which is if you are a warehouse or you're a food distribution center or you're an Amazon, a fulfillment center, or a manufacturing facility that makes God knows what, you depend on particular vendors to give you the supplies that you need. And if they can't manufacture them because of whatever the reason may be, then you that get it, you don't have any in stock. So poultry, eggs, milk, there's going to be a lot of out of stocks and no inventory in these storehouses. The Bible says in 2 Ezra 6:22 that the sown places shall appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. That's in 2 Ezra 6:22. So the supply chain is going to be completely disrupted, right? So let's play it a little bit more on this. He's saying we ain't gonna have no chicken, no meat, no milk.
For the delivery of food are screaming at us saying we have no fuel. Now, what is happening here very roughly, you've got the people who own the fuel on the water, you've got the people who own the big tanks, then you've got the independents, then you've got service stations and mum and dads. Now, we're hearing about dairies that are saying, well, we're going to be out of fuel, so you're not going to get our milk. We're hearing from poultry producers saying we're going to be out of fuel, so you're not going to get the eggs, nor are you going to get the chooks. We're hearing from beef producers saying if we're out of fuel...
Hey, beef is expensive, man. Beef is expensive. It could be like $5,000 for a case of beef.
We are not moving the trucks to the sale yards, so you're going to be out of meat. We're hearing about transport companies saying if we're out of fuel, you're not going to get the vegetables. This is a crisis that is getting worse, yet we're told there's more fuel crisis. You're not going to get the vegetables. This is a crisis that is getting worse, yet we're told there's more fuel crisis. You're not going to get the vegetables. This is a crisis that is getting worse, yet we're told there's more fuel there. So the question is, who's making the money?
Who's making the money? So these Edomites, man, they're it's over. It's over. He said, where the hell is the oil? I was told we got more than enough. But this goes to the point of these devils manufacturing, engineering, controlling an idea that there's a scarcity of natural resources to invoke fear, to invoke panic, to invoke desperation, and to invoke complete confusion amongst civilization that leads to riots, killings, robbings, panic buying, raping, looting, stabbing. And they know very well what they're doing. And this guy, he's scared, man. He's scared.
Is a crisis that is getting worse, yet we're told there's more fuel there. So the question is, who's making the money? Who's making the money here? What we are also finding out is independents are finding out that the people who own the tanks, which are basically where the fuel's delivered to in a metaphorical but simple term, are trying to go direct and cut out the independents. And of course,
they're doing research. They're trying to figure out why do we have so much oil and gas, and how come the government isn't giving it to us? Because they're starving you, they're looking to kill you, and they do not have your best interest at heart. They're telling you that there's more than enough. See, the scriptures say that the king himself is served by the field. Let me get that in Ecclesiastes, right? The 5th chapter. There's always more than enough. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse number 9. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. So there's always enough. The profit of the earth is what comes out of the earth. There's more than enough fruit. There's more than enough vegetables, right? There's more than enough oil. There's more than enough water for everybody. There's more than enough land. There's no overpopulation. The profit of the earth is for all people. Therefore, the Most High made enough to sustain everybody. But when you put this idea out that it's not enough, people start losing their mind. The king himself is served by the field. You think these elites ain't getting served, that they not eating? How are these underground bunkers and electricity and diesel keeping the lights on in these bunkers for the military? And there's more than enough. But they're saying you can't get it. And they're doing this to manufacture their new world order. All right. So I went into that one, talked about that. What else did I have? Australia is that last video, that was an Australian. And they're preparing for the apocalypse. Hundreds of gas stations are completely out of fuel and diesel. They're preparing for the end of all flesh. And they're an island. They're not some landlocked country that can just travel. They're an island. And they get most of their, when you do the research, they get most of their oil and diesel. They get it from Singapore and I believe South Korea. One of those countries in the Pacific. And they ain't going to be able to get it, man. They're going to be caught out there. Right? What else did I have? Okay, we talked about that. I'm not going to play this whole thing. This is from InfoWars. Actually, I'm not going to play it. You can watch it on your own. Australia's economy is already taking a massive hit from the Strait of Hormuz being closed, grocery stores with empty shelves, gas stations without gas, etc. See for yourself. Coming soon to a town near you. And ain't that right, man? Ain't that right? It's coming soon to a town near you. Your local city. It's going to be lines in front of the grocery store, lines in front of the gas station. People are going to panic, right? They're going to panic. And they're going to try to hoard up diesel and hoard up gas. And gas is increasing. And, you know, people are losing their mind, man. Right? And they're not leaving any for the next neighbor. There's another one in the Philippines. In the Philippines, with oil supplies basically depleted, people are walking to work now. Look at this. Look at all these people in the streets walking. They can't afford to drive, but they got to eat. They got families. They have sons. They have babies. They have daughters. And they can't afford to sit home, and they can't spend that money on gas, but they got to go to work. So they're walking 10 miles. Are you willing to walk 10 miles to go to work to save gas? These are questions that people are asking themselves that they never thought that they would have to ask as an American citizen. What am I willing to give up? All that leaving the lights on, all that running oil, the heat all night, people are making decisions. Should I walk? Should I drive? Do I take the bus? People are in survival mode. People are in survival mode. They're walking. Look at all these people. Right? All these people, man. The Lord said, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. All right, we talked about that. Taiwan, they're doing fuel rationing. What else did I have? Okay, energy lockdowns are trending worldwide, and people are connecting the dots. Australia, fuel stations running dry. They say avoid non-essential travel. Yeah, you might not be able to travel to, if you like to go to the bar or you like to go to the football game or pick your son up from basketball practice or, your daughter got piano recital or you brothers go to camp. We all go to camp. You can't, they might say you can't be on the road unless you're an essential worker. So you're not driving to camp. It's going to be a lot more lives. Then they're going to shut the, internet. It's going to be a lot more lives for brothers that do the work. Philippines, they said it's a national energy emergency. There is a fertilizer shortage, less oil from the Strait of Hormuz, and they're pushing this 2030 agenda, which we've covered. I did through the spirit of the Most High and his son Yahweh Shai, an entire code cut called Agenda 2030, right? Which again goes into this new world order that they want to try to enforce before the year 2030 with 15-minute cities, travel limits, working from home, and rationing food and energy. This is how they want to operate. They say, I will be, like I tell you in Isaiah the 14th chapter, I will be like the Most High. Right? This Isaiah chapter 14 and verse number 14. Here's the mind of the so-called white man. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. See, and the scriptures also tell you that they will use the people for their own benefit. Right? Let me get that in Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter. This Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse number, I want to get straight to the point. Verse 6. Here's the mind of the wicked. When you read this chapter, it goes into the thoughts of the wicked. But here's what they say. Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 6. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. So they want to use, they think about the people as creatures. Sheeple, cattle. They don't think that you're a fellow human or you have rights. You have God-given rights. The Holy Spirit is working on you. You're following the Bible. They say, no, you're a creature. We're going to use you and dispose of you. Speedily using the creature. Okay, you have them, you control them, you use them for what you want, and then you kill them. That's what they want to, they call people useless eaters. I can't remember where I read that from. I think that was a book or an article that was made like in the 80s or something. They called like 4 billion people, quote unquote, useless eaters. Just a waste of flesh. Let's see if I can find that. Oh boy, useless eaters. Was it 4 billion people? Depopulation quote. It was from a book. 1992 book, Conspirators Hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300. It says the quote in question claims 4 billion useless eaters. That's what they think about the people. Will be eliminated by the year 2050 through limited wars and organized epidemics. This book was made 30-some years ago. Like 34, 35 years ago. I don't know what happened to this guy, but he pretty much told you what's going to happen. The world they want to reduce the Earth's population. That's from the Georgia Guidestones. They want to control all things. They want to be like the Most High. And they call 4 billion out of the alleged 8 billion people useless eaters. Right? That's such a demonic, proud term to describe the creation of the Most High God. And they say we want to eliminate them like it's just a thing. Through limited wars, which brings about famine and death and organized epidemics. You can't get around that, right? You can't get around it. Right, here's the actual quote from the book. At least 4 billion useless eaters. Right? These damn devils, man, a useless eater. Shall be eliminated. See, a useless eater is those people who just sit in front of the TV, eat a Big Mac, drink a Pepsi, watch Wheel of Fortune, obese. You know, they have a sedentary lifestyle. You know, they vote every 4 years. Those are useless eaters. Okay? At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050 by means of limited wars, organized epidemics, fatal rapid acting diseases, and starvation. Energy, energy, food, and water shall be kept at subsistence levels for the non-elite, starting with the white populations of Western Europe and North America, and then spreading to other races. The populations of Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than any other continents until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, of which 500 million will consist of Chinese and Japanese. So all this is happening right now. You can't get around that. Energy, food, and water shall be kept at a subsistence levels for non-elite. Let's go to Psalms 37. They plotting. The wicked plotteth against the just. Right? That is also in the Bible. Right? That is also in the Bible. Psalms, I want 37 and verse number 12. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon them with his teeth. So they have plots that they have put together for years, decades, hundreds of years in advance to reduce useless eaters and destroy the earth. These are their plans. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. And right now, while they are plotting and planning energy lockdowns and crisis and survival mode, in the third heaven, Yahweh Shah is laughing them out. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine the vain thing? The rulers of the earth take counsel against the Lord and against his anointed. So the Lord is laughing at them, right? All their plots and plans and their deep thoughts will not prevail. So what else did I have? Okay, we kind of touched on that, right? Through the spirit. Okay, we talked about diesel going up. Like I said, I had a whole lot of links. We talked about that. Right, they're rationing gas and oil. We touched on that. Right, it says get ready for huge prices. Right, we know that. Right, stuff is going up. It's going to stay going up. Energy shortages to hit Europe next month. Again, they want to get rid of useless eaters, reduce the population, have dominion over your bodies. These are the things they want to do. All right, but they're plotting against the just, but we're not worried about that, man. Right? We're not worried about that. Let's go to 1 Kings, the 17th chapter. Right? Okay, we're going to see it. But like we said in the previous midnight lesson, we're going to be taken care of, man. Right? And I wanted to just to give a few examples of why we have absolutely no fret in our heart about these things, right? Let me touch on a few mighty works of Yahweh Shah, right? 1 Samuel chapter 17 and verse number 3. Get thee hence and turn thee eastward and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. This is what the Lord told Elijah in the midst of persecution. He said, go to this brook, and it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there. So you think Elijah was worried? No. You might be somewhere and animals start bringing you food. I don't believe that. It's right there in 1 Samuel. That's too far-fetched. It's in the Bible. Ravens literally brought him food. Well, brother, the gas and the prices and the food and the Walmart, and I won't. All right, brother. See, the Lord said, woe unto him that believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended. That's in Ecclesiasticus, the 2nd chapter. You don't believe, that's your problem. The Lord said in John, the 14th chapter, let not your heart be troubled. They that believe in God, believe also in me. Right? John 14 and 1. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in the Most High, believe also in me. That's to comfort us, to console us. Don't let your mind, don't be stressed. Right? Let me get that in Psalms 37. Don't be stressed, man. Psalms 37:1. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious at the workers of iniquity. Don't stress. Don't be full of anxiety. Don't be scared how I'm going to eat, what I'm going to do, how my family going to eat. That's what the Gentiles, let an Edomite worry about that. Let your co-workers worry about that. That's their lot to worry about that. It's your lot to have faith in the Most High and to trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Let an Edomite worry about what he going to eat, man. If I was an Edomite, I'd be worried too. Let a blood drinking Hamite worry about where he's going to get his water from. If I was a Hamite, I would be scared to death of where I'm going to get my water from. But I'm not a Hamite. Goddamn, I ain't no Edomite. I'm an Israelite, man. I'm a servant of the Most High. I come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I'm reading these promises. I'm seeing these miracles. And I believe that the Most High could do these things for me and my household. You got to have that same level, if not greater level of faith. Elijah was taken care of. Let's read on. 1 Kings 17:5. So he went and did according to the word of the Lord. And he went and dwelt by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening. And he drank of the brook. Man, he was living good. He didn't have to travel. He had to do nothing. They brought him bread and food. And he drank water out of the river or the brook. And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land. So he ran out. So what did the Lord do? Did he say, I ran out of options. I'm sorry, Elijah. I don't know what else to do. There's no more water. What did the Lord do? And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Arise, get thee to Zarephath, which belongeth to Zidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. So you might be in Chicago, and the Lord come to you and say, I need you to travel. Get up. I got a house. They got a whole bunch of food, and I commanded them to take care of you. Travel south. Get up. Take your family. A famine is coming. I put the spirit on the Edomites to store up food for you and your household. That's what the Most High said. I commanded a widow woman to take care of you in a famine. So what are brothers, how are we not reading this and having faith? This boosts my faith, man. Let's go to 1 Kings 19. You might be somewhere in Detroit, man. Lord said, go up to the UP, travel up north. I have prepared for thee much, much food and much, much drink and even fine wine. Thou hast done well, thou hast served me. Thou hast endured. Thou shalt be taken care of. Arise quickly and get thee hence, my servant. You have done well. Right? Hey, a brother might hear that, man. Right? 1 Kings. Let me read this chapter 19 and verse number 4. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested himself that he might die and said, it is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers. He kind of got discouraged. Lord, just kill me. Right? Just take me away. Let's see what the Lord did. Because you might be distressed, right? We in the flesh, you might have distress. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said, arise and eat. An angel came down and said, get up and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink and laid him down again. He had it made. The angel was up there cooking up the cake. getting that, stirring it all up, man. Putting it on 350 for 20 minutes. Put the sweet stuff in there, the sugar and the butter, and the angel was getting down. Got him some fresh water. He ate the cake, drank the water, went right back to sleep. Slept like a baby, had the itis. Full, burnt, rolled over, and laid me down to sleep. Now it laid me down to sleep. These are the works of Yahweh Bashmiah Shai. Remember these things. Right? 1 Kings 19:7. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time and touched him and said, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. You might have a far journey. You from traveling from city to city. Now check this out. 1 Kings 19:8. And he arose and did eat and drink and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God. He ate one cake, and that cake gave him strength for 40 days and 40 nights. He didn't have to eat anymore. For 40 days, imagine that. You eat, the Most High give you a bread, and you're not hungry at all for the rest of Jacob's trouble. Off of a slice of bread. You're not thirsty off of one cup of water. It is a small thing with the Lord to sustain you. Right? The Most High provided you with a little bit of crumbs, and you're so full. Oh, you just ate a little bit of crumbs. You just had a little bit, your last meal. That's all you had. And you're so full off that little meal that for 40 days, you don't want nothing else to eat. 40 nights, you don't want nothing else to drink. You and your family, you're just taken care of, and you're just wallowing in your the protection and grace of Yahweh Bashmiah Shai, man. Let's go to 2 Samuel, chapter 17. So the Lord fed Elijah with a raven, and he gave him a homemade cake from an angel, and it lasted 40 days. 2 Samuel, chapter 17 to 27. This is David in the wilderness. He had to flee from Absalom because of the conspiracy, and him and his men are out in the wilderness. 2 Samuel 17 to 27. And it came to pass, when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobai, the son of Nahash, and Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and Machir, the son of Amiel of Lodabar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Rogelim, brought beds. This is what they brought to David. Brought beds and basins and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentils and parched pulse and honey and butter and sheep and cheese of kine for David and for the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people is hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. See what the Lord did, man? He put the spirit on all these people. You might be out in the woods somewhere, out in the on the road, stranded in the night, and all these people just show up. They don't know why they're there, but the Most High is programming their mind to give you a big feast and a whole bunch of food, because you're hungry, because you're weary, because you're thirsty, and you're going to be taken care of. They did it for David. They gave him a whole, and they brought beds out there. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. You got to remember that. I don't want, I don't lack, because the Lord is my shepherd. That's Psalms 23. Let's go to, I had a quick Psalms 37. I'm gonna get a few more. Right? This Psalms chapter 37 and verse number 18. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine, they shall be satisfied. Right? They're going to be satisfied, taken care of. Bread might fall out the sky. Esau Might have a mansion. You might come across a mansion. It's dead Edomites there, and it's just a whole bunch of food. The Lord scared them and have them flee, and you just come across a mansion of food. Psalms 37:25. I have been young, and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. David said, I'm an old king, but I used to be a young man. Never in my life, ever in my life, have I ever seen the righteous forsaken. I've never seen him begging for food, begging for bread. He is merciful and lendeth, and his seed is blessed. And that's one of my favorite precepts when I think about the famine, right? David said, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Let's go to 2 Kings, right? 2 Kings chapter 4 and verse number 2. When you read this account, the woman was in dire straits, and she didn't have enough money to pay the debt off to the creditor who was coming to take her sons, right? So here's what Elisha told her. And Elisha said unto her, what shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in thy house? And she said, thine handmaid hath not anything in the house save a pot of oil. You might not have nothing left in your house. One more can of beans, last slice of bread, right? One more, water bottle or whatever. All she had was a pot of oil. No money, no nothing. Did the Lord forsake her? Did he cast her off? Did he despise her? No, let's see what he did. Then he said, go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, bring me yet another vessel. And he said unto her, there is not a vessel more, and the oil stayed. So imagine having a cup of oil, and it's a bottomless pit of oil. You just keep pouring it out, pouring it out, pouring it out, and it's the same amount. Imagine you eat a slice of bread, and you look at it, and it's still a whole slice of bread. Then you take another big bite, and it's still another slice of bread. Or you got one plate of food. You eat half of it, you blink twice, and it's still a full plate of food. Then you give some to your son, he eat it, and it's still a full plate of food. That's essentially what the Lord did. There is nothing too hard for the Lord. Let's go to Luke 1. Right? Luke chapter 1 and 37. For with Yahweh, Ba'ashmi Awashai, nothing shall be impossible. There is nothing impossible with the Most High. But you have to have faith, and you have to believe it. You have to believe in the miracles that the Lord has done. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 15. Jeremiah chapter 15 and verse 11. The Lord said, verily, it shall be well with thy remnant. Verily, I will cause the enemy to entreat thee well in the time of evil and in the time of affliction. Imagine that, man. Brothers had dreams like this. I always tell that account I had a dream years ago. We was up in Detroit. We was in front of my grandfather's house, and it was me and a few brothers in the camp, and all hell broke loose. It was these air raid sirens. It was, martial law, all of that. And a brother said, we got to pray. We got to face the east. So we turned and we called upon the name of Yahweh Ba'ashmi Awashai, and we faced the east. And all of a sudden, this Edomite woman opened the door, and she looked like a surgeon. She had like a scrub on, nurse scrub, whatever. And she said, come on in, come on in. So I went in where the Edomite woman was, and she pressed this button. She had like this like secret elevator in her house. and she shoved me in the elevator and pushed me down, and I fell on the floor, and I was like in this storehouse, and it was nothing but food. Nothing. It was a pool table. It was a bar. It was wine. It was a flat screen TV. It was couch. It was endless food. And Yaradon, the brother Yaradon was there. The mighty general out in Detroit, he was there. And he was just sitting there, you know? So the Lord put it in the spirit of these nations to take care of you. The Lord did that for Jeremiah. He did that for Daniel. He did that for our forefathers. He gave Abraham, when he was in Egypt, many goods. He entreated Joseph well. He made the Philistines give Isaac many things, so forth and so on. The Lord can always and will always take care of his saints. So you might come across, imagine something, the Edomites are just taking care of you, man. Stop putting the Most High in a box. Stop thinking the Most High is just man. He the Most High, man. He had manna come down for 40 years. Water out of a rock. He fed 5,000. Then he fed 4,000. 5 loaves and 2 fishes. 5 loaves, 2 fishes. 5,000 fed, besides women and children. And he had 12 baskets left over. Fragments of bread left over. Let's go to Psalm 77. Psalm chapter 77 and verse number 10. And I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. And you have to remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. Don't just remember ICBM missiles, bloodshed, destruction, right? Death, disease. No, remember the miracles, the mercy, the compassion, how the Lord saved our forefathers, how he delivered Daniel, he delivered Abraham, he delivered our fathers when there was a famine in the land of Canaan, brought them into the land of Egypt. We had the best part of the land of Egypt. Remember how Yahweh Shah said, I would not send them away fasting, lest they faint in the way. They've been 3 days with me, and he provided them with an abundance of food. Yahweh Shah told the apostles, cast on the right hand, and you shall find. And they had 153 fishes. Remember the miracles, the power, and the years of the right hand of the Most High, because this society is going to try to instill fear in you. Let an Edomite be scared. Let a Moabite be scared. Let a Hamite be scared. But let not the saints have any fear about what's going on in the earth. This is for our salvation. This is for our deliverance. This is for their destruction. The Bible says, by terrible things and righteousness wilt thou answer us. So the Lord is answering our prayers for deliverance by doing terrible things on the earth, not against us, but for us. So we have nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. We walk by faith, not by sight. The Lord said, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. So with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem HaMashiach Malak Bashai, end times survival mode. Most High willing you were edified. Kwam Yasha. Shalom.